Hello and welcome to this episode of Watch Out for Fireballs. It is brought to you by our patrons. If you go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv, you too can support your boys. Get episodes early, join us in the Slack, do all of those things. Thank you. My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Cole Ross.
And you're listening to Watch Out for Fireballs. It is a Games Club podcast.
And this week we are talking about The Simpsons Hit and Run, which is an open world game developed by Radical Entertainment and published by Vivendi Universal Games for the GameCube, PS2, and Xbox and PC in 2003.
It's not the Crazy Taxi ripoff.
No, it is not.
That came earlier.
That was a precursor to this. No, that was called Road Rage. This is called Hit and Run. And we can understand why one would make the mix-up.
Yes, because they're both terms that are about car crimes.
Yeah, that are about things that are not necessarily good to do in a vehicle.
Worst practices winced in a car.
Yeah.
This episode is produced by Vulpes.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, Vulpes, the patron who patronized this. If you would like to suggest an episode for us, go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. We are booking into 2020 right now, and we have a bunch of good stuff on deck that people have already suggested.
Yeah.
Feel free. So let's talk about this game.
Yeah.
Not to be, I know it is a weird like IMDb tag for when I quibble with a thing in a note here.
Yeah.
But I went into this expecting it to be way more of a GTA clone.
Yes, that is literally just shorthand for this. GTA involves a lot more. This is about driving places, whereas in GTA, oftentimes you're driving to places to do things.
To shoot people.
Right.
To shoot people or things. And like, it's very hard to tell what kind of genre this is. Like, it is essentially a racing game. Like, this is our first racing game.
Mm-hmm.
I think, other than like Mario Kart.
Right.
But it primarily a racing game with where you can get out for no reason.
Right.
Of your car.
Yeah. And it is kind of sandboxy if a sandbox lets you like maybe do a couple of side things anytime you were in it.
Like a box with like a handful of sand in it.
Right.
Like, but mostly it's just a regular box.
Right. It's just a disappointing thing on a playground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some sand. So in this game, it's semi GTA, like mostly like a racing game, but it's weird. We'll get into it. Where you play as a handful of the Simpsons plus Apu, doing driving missions in 3 different areas of Springfield, and there is a plot, this conspiracy involving Buzz Cola, surveillance equipment, and aliens.
Yes,
that you kind of work your way through.
Like any Simpsons Gaiden thing, it involves Kang and Kodos, because of course,
yes,
that's how they make something non-canon.
Mm-hmm. Yep, Kang and Kodos show up, non-Kodos. The game is divided up into 7 levels, but the levels are a little, that determines what character you're in, does not really determine gameplay modes.
No.
Within those levels, there are 7 missions, as well as bonus missions and races, and you can also wander about.
Yes.
If you want. The big bugbear in the room, the thing we're going to get into that kind of like plays into final evaluation of this game, is that almost every mission is about driving, and there are very few different articulations of that.
Right.
You are racing someone, trying to get somewhere fast, trying to destroy a car with your car, or collecting items, and that's basically it. I think, again, just, pointing notes like the etc. in the notes here is doing so little work.
Yes.
I think it's substituting in for one other thing.
I started listing those and I was like, I'm going to hit all of them and then we're going to have nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
And so
it's kind of amazing.
I was saving one for a little bit later. But yeah, the game doesn't necessarily have very many mechanical tricks up its sleeve. Talking about the substance of these missions is going to be really difficult because like we can talk about like the sections of the city and maybe like particular areas that have particular challenges and stuff. Like, it's not like there's nothing to say about them, but I think that the thing that is, that sticks with people who play this and, justifies a lot of its existence is the flavor, and we're going to talk plenty of sugar about the flavor, but.
And I think it's competent at the things it does.
Yes.
I think it's pretty good at that. It's just, it only does like a few things. Like this will be a really weird episode. And this is a weird game for us because there's little to talk about in it for as long as it is. Like it has the content of like an episode content of like a Nintendo game.
Right.
But it's a much longer game. It's a much bigger experience. And it's also like, simultaneously pretty fun. Like it is possible to have like fun with this game, but also be immensely frustrated and bored during it. So it's hard to evaluate. Yeah.
Frustration was my prime, like after my being enamored with the subject matter faded away, frustration was the primary emotion that I had playing this.
I get a lot of frustration, like, and interspersed with like when I wasn't frustrated, I was generally having fun.
Yes.
With it. So it is just a really strange game to evaluate. Like I was thinking about it as, going into this, it's like, is this game good? I don't fucking know. Like it's all right. It's pretty fun. Yeah. It's cute. It looks good. It feels pretty good. It just it feels like an arcade game or something. Like this should be a smaller experience than something you sit down and play as a campaign. And I didn't like chug this. I didn't I'm not saying that because I just finished it earlier today and I had to wrap up for recording. I gave myself plenty of runway for this. It's just a weird fucking game. It's in 2019. It is so dated, I think is probably the watchword for this.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
This is what we did in 2003. It's fucking, you're out of our minds.
Yep. It's very dated for the kind of game that it is, and being part of the group of people who tried to steal a little bit of that Grand Theft Auto heat. Right, group of games or studios, right? But also it's like really culturally dated. This is pinned to a very specific moment in Simpsons history. Like, to put it charitably, this was 2003, so they were at like season 15 by this point. Like they were just slightly past the sell by date.
The tail end of the watchable years. Like the absolute tail end,
right.
Like just you're huffing fumes at this point. And the game in terms of its humor, like we'll talk about that at length, a little bit later, but it also has that steeze to it where like you are kind of huffing fumes. Like there are jokes in this that I think are legitimately funny. As far as how it holds together, it does not hold together very well.
No.
So like talking about the actual driving itself, I think is pretty fun. Is pretty good in this.
It's a good it's a really good arcade driving kind of game. It's not very complex. The different cars handle really well. They handle differently from each other. Like it matters which one you pick. It gets about as complex as having an e-brake, which lets you do like cool drifts and stuff like that. Like that is about the level of complexity that I want.
One of the things and I don't know what the word is for this, but one of the things I thought about in this that I think is actually pretty impressive is kind of the matrix of your speed to the scale of your obstacles to your field of view.
Okay.
In this, because you're oftentimes on neighborhood streets. So it's kind of a smaller environment than like a racing game they would give you. But like the camera distance and speed that you move and the size of other cars and everything, all that stuff is actually tuned pretty well.
Yeah.
I was, finding myself doing kind of surprising maneuvers or moving around with some kind of surprising subtlety from time to time and not running into an issue with that, which is something the last GTA I played seriously for. I remember that having like a bunch of different camera options, but I was either a little too close to the car or a little too far away on both of those things, no matter what. Like it never felt right.
Yeah.
And this does not have that problem.
Right. It's a little bit like playing a platformer that has just the right size sprite or just the right amount of zoom a little bit. Like it feels tuned where it feels tuned to the proper proportions for fun.
That's what I think for this, and kind of cartoony proportions and stuff.
Yeah.
The major complicating factor of this,
here we go,
and the thing that contributes to a lot of frustration is foot traffic, and car traffic.
Right.
And this is
there is car behavior, like they do move, like they're not just like posted there or anything, but it feels like it's randomly distributed, even if it is not. And it contributes to, something we're going to talk about with the mission difficulty. If you fail, there's like a 40% chance that it's your fault.
Yeah. I think that it is random just because I would restart missions and just have different luck.
Right.
With running into cars, but it is running into cars or people. We'll talk about that.
Right.
So that ends up being a huge problem with this, like huge problem, because you can the core gameplay loop of this, what they're trying to do, the macro game, what they want, the mastery they want you to get is mastery of the levels.
Right.
By the end of this game, I know these maps extremely well. Like you have to. I know the maps really well. The thing about the random traffic is maybe they thought that without this as a complicating factor, it would be too easy once you knew the maps. And maybe it would be like if I could just beeline to things.
Yeah.
But as is, it felt like it was undercutting this knowledge that I had to work for.
Right.
Like I learned the map, but it doesn't matter if I learn the map because every once in a while there's a car that has hit another car that has T-boned an intersection that I need to go through.
Yep.
And this interfaces with the timing margins on missions, which we'll talk about at length, in a horrible way.
Right.
Just an immensely unsatisfying, frustrating kind of experience that can happen when you just have bad luck with traffic.
Right.
When you're engaging with a good feel thing, which is map mastery. So it kind of undercuts it a little bit.
It does. And hitting that T-bone, right? The jam up that happens in an intersection, or, making a turn and going right into a car that you didn't realize was there, that will stop you and that will cause you to lose the mission. That sucks, but just it happens. Part of this being a GTA clone, however, is also the presence of pedestrians. And when you hit a pedestrian, your hit and run meter goes up. So like in Grand Theft Auto, if you drive on the sidewalk or if you drive through the graveyard, hitting the headstones is not good luck. No, it's just the pedestrians. Hitting the pedestrians here fills up your hit and run meter, which brings the cops out. And these cops are far more competent and, let's say, dogged than the Springfield police force ever actually is, because they will hunt you down.
Like float in from around the country or something. Like they're having a convention for good cops.
Yep. They will come and they will fucking wreck you.
Yeah. And this so what they're trying to do, like what the cops are trying to do, when we say wreck you, what that means is they run into you. This full stops you. You lose money, which we'll talk about the economy. It's not great. You lose money, but then the most precious thing is you lose time, and it's not even the time. Like it doesn't like advance your clock 5 seconds or anything. It's just having to get back up to speed.
Yes.
Through this. So this is horrible.
Yeah. Additionally, they'll hit you and it'll also do damage to your car. Which, you could just be going and then somebody comes and, rear ends you, boom, your car blows up and you're done.
Definitely the end of your mission.
Yeah.
And there are some thrilling moments that come from this. Like you can get hit and run, have a cop like beelining for you and outmaneuver them and have them like shoot right past you. That's really fun.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. That could happen without it risking me just losing the mission.
Yeah.
I think that this is one of these games where a lot of the problems play off of each other in a bad way.
Yeah. Yeah.
In a way, and they all, when I think about it and I like do the little map in my head, all roads lead back to the timing.
Yes.
For missions. Like everything that is bad about this would not really be that bad.
Right.
If it weren't for time limits on missions. Starts off pretty easy. But the game becomes incredibly demanding
very quickly. Like after level 2, I feel, or sometime in level 2, it starts being the case where it feels like they got their best. I'm stealing your point on this, Gary. It feels like they got their best tester. to run the mission. They figured out, okay, like that's the time that he has. Let's add like 10% to that.
Johnny Speeds a lot can do this in 50 seconds. So we'll give the regular player 52 seconds.
Right.
You know, and 2 seconds, not very much time.
No.
Like in general, like it goes by all the time.
Yeah.
We get a bunch of those
several times during this point.
Yeah. Like it's a very small amount of time. So what happens is that you are going through your mission. You have a very tight time limit, which is already pretty stressful. Yeah. But fine. You know, like I need to know the map. That's what it's testing. You know, when you fail a mission, it gives you a pop-up and it's like, hey, learn shortcuts.
Yep.
Because you need to know every shortcut in this game. That is a fun and fine gameplay conceit.
That is a reasonable demand, and that is making you engage with things that are good about this, the map design and the driving physics.
Yes, exactly. But when you interlace that with random car traffic, so the actual geography of the map you've learned has effectively changed. You interlace it with the negative consequence for hitting cars and people. Like a surprising amount of this game takes place driving on a boardwalk full of people.
Yep, down at the squid
spend
port.
A lot of time down at the squid port just running down randos. You know, so when you add those complicating factors, then the time becomes like much more problematic, or the time makes those factors problematic. Like they both kind of play off each other in like a way that is nasty. You know, so it just kind of becomes frustrating. And then to add to this, checkpoint. The checkpointing in this is very frustrating.
It's non-existent.
Yeah, it's you had to beat a mission. Like you can save once you beat a mission, it's beat.
Yes, but
there is no checkpointing. So sometimes a mission will say you have 15 seconds to get to the Quickie Mart. Then you have 30 seconds to get to the school, and then 45 seconds to get to the comic book shop. And after every one of those, it's like essentially it's a mission.
Yes, you
know. Sometimes though it'll say you have a minute and a half to do all those things, but it only tells you the first one.
There's very poor communication that goes on here. And you will think, okay, I finished this. Nope, you're actually you're going to need to get way better. It feels a little bit in line with like some of our problems with multi-phase bosses in Souls games from let's see, from like Bloodborne on. Like, well, no, like, oh gosh, this first one's just an Estus tax. Like getting to the Quickie Mart in 15 seconds. Like, what is that adding here? Why do I need to get to that? Well, like, it doesn't feel like it is, constructive. It feels like it's just another thing like to get you.
Well, and the GTA games did this as recently as the most recent ones I played as well. Right. Like a GTA game would have a mission where it's like, meet this criminal at his criminal house to discuss the plan to go meet somebody else to talk about your crimes and then go to a third location to do your crimes. And the checkpointing is at the beginning when you first do the thing. And that drove me crazy. It's like a big reason why I quit GTA 4, right? I'm like, this is dumb. It's not worth my time. This does that in micro. Like instead of it being like you have to just take this boring drive across the expressway so this character can say his exposition dialogue, it's more like you have to keep doing over and over and over this 20-second mad stressful sprint to get to the Quickie Mart. And it makes the missions have this odd structure where the difficulty of the end of the mission is determined by how well you do at the beginning of the mission, which is kind of an interesting idea, except that you never know what the entire mission is going to be. Even when they are broken up into discrete chunks, you never know when the actual mission will end.
No.
You know, well, like you're mostly just doing fetch quests for people, and you never know when the person's going to be like, oh yeah, but now that you have this, I need you to do this. You know, or whether you're just going to jump up and down because you completed the mission. So the structure of it is very strange and is part of this kind of like feel bad pyramid of cards leaning on each other. It
all contributes to feeling like they tuned this to be as difficult as possible. It feels more difficult to me than any GTA game ever did. Even with the nonsensical checkpointing that happened in those games, and even looking at GTA 3 and GTA Vice City, there were missions in those that were infamously difficult, but never specifically for like the timeout reasons that are happening here on a regular basis. It's kind of strange that I would say with a straight face, this is one of the hardest games we've covered for anything on the network. In raw terms, like I failed so much in this. I failed so much that I had to engage with a system that feels like it was put there as like a concession to testing, which is, okay, if you fail a bunch, you can skip this mission. It's fine. Just go on and see the rest of the story, which is good. Yeah. Like that, it is worth being there, right? I think that is a fine thing to have in a game. I don't like when you need it.
Well, yeah, it's a fine thing to have in a game, but it would be better if the missions were just tuned a little bit.
Yes.
You know, like why this game and this property to stake put a flag in the sand as far as difficulty.
Yeah.
Like we are going to challenge core gamers with the Simpsons driving game, like Goofy Simpsons driving game.
Who's the audience for that?
It's very, who love that part of it. Like I looked up, so this game, this is kind of getting to the end, but we'll talk about this a little bit here, is that this game has a hugely devoted following. People love this game. There's a huge modding community for this game. There's a huge, just kind of big, huge fandom of this. But in looking at that and stuff, there are missions in this that everyone hates.
Yes.
Like everyone agrees on the 10 missions in this that are fucking beyond the pale horrible. It's just real weird. So even the people so my point being is, like, when you say who's the audience for that, even the people who are as deep in the pocket as you can possibly be for Simpsons Hit and Run aren't going to bat for that part of it.
No.
They don't love the fact that it's like, man, ketchup. I'm gathering. Oh,
like it was a fun joke the first time, and then the 16 times after it that I skipped the dialogue. It's not necessarily funny. It doesn't matter that I'm gathering ketchup packets for the harvest for winter. That is good. What you're asking me to do is actually not good. It's very bad, I would say.
Add 10 seconds too. Like it feels like tuning, every once in a while when you call, we on this network will say something's too difficult. And sometimes that is a controversial stance to people, because there's an attitude out there that, like, there's no such thing as a game that's too difficult. If the problem is always with you, it is always with the player. Like,
if anyone has ever successfully done this, then it is not too difficult because it is possible. That is the straw man that stands athwart us.
But people actually say it.
Yeah.
So it is a weird, it is in the comments, when people talk about difficulty in these games. The thing about this, and one of the things when people say that, when they stand for difficulty, is like, oh, you say it would be really easy to fix, but tuning a game is incredibly difficult.
Yes.
Like there's no way you could make Sekiro easier, because it would just be so complicated. You have to upend the entire system. And then modders went in and fixed it. They're like, oh yeah, no, you actually just get a little bit more health and stamina. It's super easy. This also gives lie to that attitude that it is impossible to rebalance a game or to balance it better, because on those 10 missions or whatever, 7 extra seconds, 8 extra seconds, it's just numbers. It's like, I guarantee there's just a value that is the time limit for that mission.
Yeah.
And just changing that one number would just eliminate so much friction in this game, and the friction itself in this is among the worst frictions. It is crass repetition. I don't feel like I'm learning very much because of the random car layout.
No. In fact, I feel like again, when it is not my fault, I don't feel like I'm learning, and all that it is teaching me is that bad things can happen at any time for no reason. Which, a
valuable lesson.
Yeah,
but you already know that going into this game.
Right.
If you didn't know that at 2003, then I don't. I have no hope for you.
but for sure, no, it's absolutely right. And I would be very curious to go in and see the people who mod this game. They call themselves Team Donut, and some of the changes that they've made seem pretty interesting. Like they brought in maps from Road Rage. Like it'd be cool to drive around in those maps in this engine without the crazy taxi stuff, right? I would be curious to see if they made the reasonable mod, because as it stands, it feels like one of the goals that the designers had for this, if it wasn't to make things as difficult as possible, it was to basically maximize the number of times that you got a near loss.
Yes.
But when you maximize for near losses, what you end up with is a lot of really, really infuriating near wins.
Yeah.
I nearly got that, except what they were asking for was way too unreasonable, and it feels like this game has died on the margin.
Yeah.
It has died on the margin between those.
I love a near loss in a game.
Yeah.
But it's to be strategically deployed.
Yes.
A little bit more restraint. And again, keep in the back of your mind, 10 minutes ago, like, I think this game is fun.
Yep.
Like, it is fun to play it. Like, this is not Indigo Prophecy. Like,
Right.
I'm not here to like just bury this under the ground. Like it's a piece, like it's garbage. It's not garbage.
No.
It's like pretty fun. But it's very frustrating that so much of my time with it was spent irritated.
Right.
You know, with a rock in my shoe. Like, here, play this, you know, run this fun obstacle course, but here's a rock in your shoe while you do it. You know? So there are some missions involve you getting out on foot, but your on foot time and verbiage is incredibly limited. There's very little reason to get out of your car other than powering the economy, which we'll talk about. But generally, you can get out, you can jump, you can kick. There's a melee attack that's only used to get collectibles.
Yes.
There's no fighting in this game. Even though, a little bit of trivia, the very first, like, Matt Groening sat down to play this, and the very first thing he did was go out on the lawn and beat the crap out of Marge.
Oh God.
Like, really strange, but yeah. He's because the developers were unsure about putting it in. They were like, we don't need to know if we need a melee attack in this game because people will, like, do we really need to see Homer beat up his wife? And then Matt Groening sat down with it and immediately did that. So,
was it to prove why would he do that?
No idea. It's just
because it's
so
what happens in video games.
I mean, maybe just the novelty of it.
Maybe,
you know, because this game does look real good. Like, maybe just seeing his cartoons go around and do this.
Maybe, yeah.
You know, just kind of tickled him. You know, 2003 was a different time.
Yeah.
You know, maybe there's part of that. But and generally, this is not a violent game. Like, when you hit people, they just roll out of the way.
Right.
You know, and but let's talk about getting out on foot and talk about the economy of this game, which is another bit of the feel bad house of cards.
Yeah. So your primary collectible in this is coins. You get it by destroying certain objects in the world. There are like crates. There are vending machines that you can beat up to get these Buzz Cola coins. You also get it for like running over mailboxes or trees and stuff like that. And you're collecting this currency. You know, if this isn't Grand Theft Auto, so you're not buying guns or what have you. You're not buying safe houses. You're actually buying things like new cars or new outfits. And that is fun. We're going to talk about the fan service bit of this. Like, the new cars and the new outfits are almost unanimously entertaining. The problem is that you are required to do this at least once per level. So the game is expecting you to get out and do this grinding for resources. If you're not doing it as you play a little bit at a time, then you will just get to a point where, hey, roadblock, go out and scrounge for these 500 coins.
Go grind
out in the world. Yes.
Yeah, go get Reflect.
Yeah.
It's really ham-handed.
Yeah.
You know, it's really like a ham-fisted way to get you to engage with the collectible portion of the thing, which is a reason why people love this game. Like, people of a certain era love like having all these things to collect. At the end of every level, it gives you a little scorecard. Yeah. To see if you've done everything in the level. So that is but if you're not engaging in it, it is by no means optional.
Right.
To engage in it. Like, and something that, you know, I saw a tip that people gave us in the Slack, which was like, hey, don't spend your money willy-nilly.
No.
Because you start off, you have like a pretty good amount of money. You see a fun costume and you're like, oh, this will be fun.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I want to run around as this Homer. No.
Nope.
Like, don't do it. Like, you know, it's so weird. Like, that is the thing not to do.
Right.
You know, because you're going to want that money. You know, and losing money every time you get a hit and run plays into this in an irritating way, because in a way that actually reminds me most of Castlevania 2.
Oh, yeah.
Where like the failure state just means grinding for more money. You know, like in Castlevania 2, nothing happens when you die. You just have to get your hearts back.
Yeah.
So that's a real bummer. The other collectibles that they have are cards. Trading cards, which are kind of interesting. These are all references, and if you collect all of them, there is an exclusive Itchy and Scratchy cartoon you can go watch at the comic book store, which I think is like fun and cool, and it's interesting to see and it looks like a TV show Itchy and Scratchy cartoon to me, but it's done in engine and stuff. I think it's a really clever Easter egg.
Yeah.
And then there are gags, which are little objects you can interact with that kind of show little cameos. And a lot of times these are references and fan service, and these are all good and fun. I guess the third one, too, that I just thought of are hidden cars.
Oh, yeah.
And these are fun. There's never anything you can do with them. Like, they're not like super powerful. Like, you can take them on missions if you want, but that's not really the idea. Yeah. I found Nightboat, the crime solving boat, on the boat, which was real cool. Yeah. Happy to get Nightboat. You know, not that you can go in the water or anything. It's a car, right? Basically.
That is very funny.
But I was happy to find that. And there's a bunch of different ones from the show.
Yeah. And that leads into, my favorite thing about this, because those cars, and the outfits and collectibles kind of conspire with the world design in this to be one of the biggest and best examples of fan service in video games. As a fan, I felt serviced by this. It felt like the development team really had a, just encyclopedic knowledge of the good years of The Simpsons and put as many of those details in as they could fit.
Yeah. The world itself, the actual locations, everything looks great. The outfits that you get are all, they're good obscure outfits in there, things like that. I really love that. The gags that you find again sometimes are weird little one-off things, like there's the Maggie in the ball pit.
Yeah.
Kind of thing is the one that pops to mind.
Yeah, like out back, you find the tiki statue with the gas line hooked up to it.
Yeah. Just like cool stuff like that. And the voice work itself, all the voices are done by the original actors. So it does feel like it doesn't feel cheap in a way that a licensed game could, or the way that other Simpsons games, even from this developer, felt. Take a look at the screenshots from Road Rage, and how weird and uncanny the CGI GUI versions of The Simpsons are. It's just really, really off. Here, everything looks good, sounds good, feels real to things.
Yes. I think I'm going to disagree with you on everything looks good. There are certain characters that were never meant to be rendered in 3D. Like with Mo, it's fun because, seeing his face from different angles is part of the gag about Mo's appearance. Lisa, the way that they chose to do Lisa here was not good.
Hey, I'm pretty okay with Lisa.
Oh, okay.
In this, I think Lisa looks okay.
Yeah.
In general, I mean, a lot of it is the angle in which you're mostly seeing them.
Yeah.
But I think Lisa looks all right.
No, okay.
But
we can disagree.
They look like the action figures to me.
Yeah.
More than anything, which I think they generally did a really good job with those.
Yeah. So. Homer looks like he came straight out of that Treehouse of Horror episode where he went into the 3D world behind the bookcase. Yeah. But yeah, I loved, if there's a notable car, you can think of it. Like, as I was going around, I was like, I'm going to get to drive the Homer in this, and that is going to be fun and good. Yeah.
And you can, if you want to spend the coins on it and then grind up enough coins to find it again.
Right. Yeah. But even just around the world, they build in this stuff. One of the first places that you go in the game, Homer gets a craving and he has to go to the Quickie Mart. And I was like, I'm going to go on the roof of the Quickie Mart. And if it's Apu's garden, then I know that they have done their homework, and Apu's garden is up there. So Yahtzee. Yeah.
This kind of plays into the mission dialogue and scenario kind of design are pretty decent. Sometimes they steal stuff from the show. Some things are not as good.
Right.
There's some lazy jokes as well. But generally it's above average.
Yeah.
For that, this is not, I would not put this in the funniest games of all time or anything, but there are definitely some chuckle out loud moments.
Yeah. It feels representative of this era and slightly later of The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. That falls down a little bit with the bark repetition. I never need to hear Homer go, I am so smart, SMRT. I mean,
yeah.
I just don't need to hear that again because it happens every time you succeed in a mission.
I agree. And just also when you're in the car. I don't know. If you put a gun to my head and said hey, Lisa's driving and she keeps hitting people, what does she say? I don't know what I'd put. What is Marge manslaughter? What does she say whenever she manslaughters? I don't know.
Some of those are funny the first time, when Homer hits somebody and he yells, "I don't have insurance."
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah, or when Lisa hits somebody and says, "I hope Bart gets blamed for this." That is good and true to the character. You just hear it over and over again. And bark writing is really hard. People who've done that have said.
Yeah. One thing I want to underline just about that while we're kind of in this sphere is how good the music is in this game. I think the music in this game is great.
If you look at the soundtrack, it's fucking ridiculous. Like every mission has a bespoke track for it.
Yeah.
Something like that.
It's real, like full of bangers. They're in the spirit of the show without actually, like there'll be motifs from the Simpsons theme song or other Simpsons songs.
Yeah.
It's just generally really good. The hit and run music is actually really good, like 70s cop show. Yeah, it sounds really good. The music in this game is excellent. So
yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the development.
Yeah, let's do that. So this, Radical began developing Hit and Run shortly after they finished Road Rage. Like they just, like Vivendi and them got the license, and they're, like, okay, well, we're going to do this kind of one-off thing with Road Rage. It was relatively rushed out, and they did the follow-up, and they initially conceived of this as Road Rage 2. Some of the early files in the game refer to it as that. But they decided to expand the scope, which caused them to basically throw everything out from Road Rage except for the driving system.
Well, they got sued as well.
Yes, yeah,
like
that's also worth
Crazy
noting.
Taxi sued them for making Crazy Taxi with the numbers filed off.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
So yeah, they
we can't do it again.
Just make, we're sorry. We'll just do it the one time. And like, Road Rage, which I'm due to revisit because like I like Crazy Taxi now.
Yeah.
I don't think the flavor is particularly good. I think replacing it with Simpsons flavor would be a straight upgrade.
Yes.
Like, it's not the Offspring and it's not like, give me the KFC, all these weird, the barks in that game are fucking intolerable.
Yeah.
But I would love to, I should try the Simpsons version again. But if they had done a Road Rage 2 like that, what would that even be?
I don't know.
I don't know, like just very, very similar to the same thing. They also made that Simpsons skateboarding game in between the two.
Oh God, I forgot about Simpsons skateboarding.
Which is amazing. I watched a bunch of footage of that before this, and I'm like, oh yeah, this thing.
Were they responsible for the Simpsons wrestling as well?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think it was a different. I think this is their trilogy.
Gotcha.
The Simpsons skateboarding. The thing I found out about it and watching footage is that your character starts with a jump score. And Homer's jump score is so low that he can't ollie. He crashes before every time he hits the ground. You can't ollie unless you do other tricks he can do enough to grind up points.
Well, that's
to be able to ollie. So amazing.
That is funny, but I can also imagine that being very frustrating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing, this is just kind of random. The other thing I found when looking at that link to it, YouTube suggested link, is that modding community took this game and made a horror game. About going into the Simpsons house as Homer to get eggs for Bart. Bart wants eggs. And you have to go and search different drawers and stuff while Marge is stalking you.
What?
And it looks horrifying. Because like Marge, she's like, she's all creepypasta'd out. Like she looks like a creepy version. It's,
right.
Big jump scare energy when she runs into you. But watching, Homer go through these things going, gotta get eggs for Bart. And then you just hear like around the corner, like, and it's like genuinely terrifying. Like it kind of looked awesome.
I really need to play that for Hexcrank Live.
You definitely should. It's around. Yeah. Before you get rid of this game, because I might need the files for it or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's called Eggs for Bart, but if you put like Eggs for Bart, Simpsons Hit and Run, you'll probably find it. Hopefully. You don't want to land on an accidental Eggs for Bart page. No,
I don't like this. GoFundMe. We're trying to buy eggs for Bart.
Go egg me. Yeah.
I see here, Eggs for Bart Important is the title.
I would say that's probably
shit. Accurate. That's a PewDiePie video. Fuck.
Oh yeah. See. Well, you could learn from it.
Okay.
He's probably playing the mod.
Yeah. No.
So it's pretty wild.
I am very curious about that. I like the
really
idea
into
of
weaponizing.
Marge.
Well, and just Marge's like moan being weaponized. Like it is a really good like. It does sound really menacing to me. So they expanded, because they got sued. They expanded, and that made them, a totally different genre. It's not road rage. They added on-foot navigation, traffic AI, added these things to make it this game.
Yes. Yep. And then they worked very, very closely with Matt Groening and with the creative team from the show at the time. The story, the scenario was written by the show's writers. And they got the entire cast together. I have no complaints about the voice acting in this, aside from the bark repetition stuff.
Yep, it's all very good.
Yeah.
Simpsons games, this is the first one we've done, like on this show. I don't know it'll be the last. Like, this is largely held up as the best Simpsons game, like pretty frequently.
People talk about the Simpsons movie, the 2007 one, being good.
Yeah. As that good, and of course Simpsons Arcade.
Right.
And those are the three that people dig on of this. But there are way worse Simpsons games. In fact, most of them are horrible.
Right.
And this is fine.
Yeah.
So no direct follow-ups or no sequels to this, much to people's chagrin. Now, of course, why would they do that when they just have tapped out to like print money?
Yeah.
There's no reason to make another Simpsons video game.
Yep. Gone the way of a lot of licensed media.
Yep. So shall we get into it?
I think we shall. So we're not going to talk about every mission in depth. We're probably going to summarize through a lot of them. Yeah.
I would say almost all of them.
Right.
So just, we will kind of talk about the premise, say what type of mission it is, and if it's a specific bugbear. One of the things about this game is that, like, when it's going well, it's really smooth. And it's hard to even say things about it.
Right.
Because so much of the mission is just like, I need you to go here and do this, or I need you to go here and get this.
Yeah, and it drops you off at the place where the next mission is going to begin.
Yeah, really hard to kind of talk about. So we're going to skip over a lot of that stuff. But we will talk about these different mission types and kind of how they feel as they pop up.
Yeah. So that's going to lead to like the first chapter being the most detailed of this, and then most of the others being a little bit quicker. Yeah. So the game opens up. We've got the usual sky cloud shot, and we see a bright green light appear from the heavens, and a bunch of robot bees kind of swarm around it. As we get a first person view, the camera Terminator view of one of them going into the Simpsons household, and Homer waking up and smashing it. So something is surveilling Springfield.
Yes. Yep. Very classic Simpsons kind of idea. Homer turns on TV, watches Krusty advertising a new improved Buzz Cola, which is a cola that is not poisonous to anybody
that we know of.
That they know of. Yeah. So Homer wants to get some Buzz Cola. Marge comes in. There's a lot of like Marge just telling Homer what to do content.
Yes.
And that is like, Marge is actually not portrayed very well in this. As is the Simpsons of that era. Like, she's basically a killjoy for most of it.
Right.
Tells him to go get ice cream, the ice cream with the miniature pies in it. Because somebody ate all the desserts in the house.
Yes, must have been one of our kids, probably Millhouse. Yeah, I like the payoff for that, because when you go get the ice cream, Apu's like, "Weren't you just here this morning buying ice cream?" Yeah, but this level, it takes place in Evergreen Terrace, around the neighborhood. And so you have you're on the street, like the Bush house is across the street there, and this even extends over through kind of the rough part of town, but also into the nuclear plant, the Nucleon plant, and Mr. Burns' mansion and stuff like that.
Some of these places will open up more as we go on.
Yes.
So there's areas like Mr. Burns' mansion you can actually get inside, but you can't get inside until a later chapter.
Right.
I don't even know if you can get right into the plant right away. I think that opens up when we have to go there.
Yeah.
So Bart's providing our tutorials. His head pops up and kind of tells us what to do here. And we're introduced to smashing things based on, I think, seeing a vending machine.
Something like that.
Here.
Yeah.
So you drive onto the Quickie Mart to get the cola and ice cream. And when you get back to the house, Marge says, "Okay, well, now I need you to take Lisa's science project to the school on your way to work."
Yeah.
And this introduces our first like real mission after just being taught the basics of driving.
Right. We're out of the tutorial mostly. In mission 1 here, we have to race against Skinner, because if Skinner gets there before you, he's going to fail Lisa. So that is justified there. This is just a straight up race. Very few of the missions are going to be like this.
Yeah. Races are really interesting in this game. So kind of just like, maybe when you get introduced to a mission type, just kind of talk about how they work. in this. A lot of times missions are interesting because if you restart them, you start in your car, but the first time you have to get into your car for them. So if you fail, it actually becomes a little bit easier in them. The other thing about missions is this game has like a lot of times, it'll show you which place you're in, like first or second place. It's always 1-on-1. But the game does the question mark out of second really frequently.
Yeah.
It has a really hard time telling how far ahead you are in things because of all the shortcuts and stuff, and because you can go as the crow flies and what have you.
Yeah.
But that ends up making it really, really tricky to gauge how well you're doing in races. Something
that this does differently than Grand Theft Auto is that there are never any checkpoints that you have to hit. Instead there's just like a destination that you have to get to. So it is more freeform, but it is leaning more on your knowledge of the map, which is good. However, the interface is always going to be pointing you in a direction like that they have pathfinded that is the wrong way to go. You never want to go where the highlighted arrows on the street are pointing you.
Yeah. When you fail one of these races, one of the tooltips it gives you is it says, explore the level in advance to find the shortcuts, which like scouting one of these missions seems ludicrous to me.
Yes.
Like let's learn it by trying it.
Yeah.
But you do really need to know about shortcuts, and the shortcuts in this game are generally great. A lot of times they're ramps, which is very satisfying. In GTA, like that became a pretty famous and well-known emergent gameplay thing in GTA 3 until they included it more heavily in later games of just finding cool jumps.
Yes.
And just doing them. And me and my friends would do that quite a bit in GTA games. Just go jumps. That's all we're doing. Cool jumps. They incorporate that in the play really well here. And a lot of times shortcuts just involve off-roading it.
Yeah.
Like you will get a lot of mileage out of cutting corners.
But you got to be careful if you off-road it because you're gonna hit pedestrians more often.
Tons of pedestrians.
Yeah.
Like managing that hit and run meter is where the game lies, other than just like making sure you're very fast during this.
Yeah. But this first race, it's easy enough. The missions that take place, the races that take place during the story, the traffic is still there. So one of your best tactics is going to be to run somebody else into traffic. And get ahead while they're trying to right the ship. The races that happen on the map itself, the bonus races that you can do, those get rid of traffic.
Yeah, those are pure expressions of speed.
But
when you get to the school, Lisa says that Marge needs to talk to you before you go to work, and this is where the kind of structure of me just realizing, this is just going to be me being sent back and forth to places, over and over, kind of set in. And it's very early. I was just like, it's one of those kind of deals.
Yeah.
I just talked to her, So you head back, and Ned Flanders is miffed and PO'd. He's mad because you've stolen all of the stuff. He doesn't want to get the cops involved, or he's going to get the cops involved. So you have to start mission 2, Petty Theft Homer, where you have to get 6 of Ned's lost items before the time runs out.
Right.
And these are kind of solo checkpoint races.
Right. As you go, thankfully, like when you get to the area, the timer stops, which is good. Like you get to the area, timer stops. Then it tells you, hey, get out and talk to this person. To get the thing back. If I had to get out of the car and navigate around to where that person was at, trying to find them among the other people, that would suck. If the timer was still going. Here, thankfully, they stop it. And this is cool. Like you're going around and seeing the extended cast, right? Like you go, you go by the Bolorama and you find Barney saying, "Hey, I need his cooler back. I need Ned's cooler back." And Barney's like, "Oh, what am I going to use as a toilet now?" This is before sober Barney.
Yeah, pre sober Barney. After you kind of get these different items from things place to place, this is all pretty simple. You go back to Marge to tell her you've done so. And Marge says, now you're late for work. And it's like, well, no shit.
You made me do
go to work. Yeah. And today's your evaluation with Smithers. And then one of the funnier lines in the game to me, Homer says like, he'll find my scorpion farm. then where all my scorpions live, which I love Homer having a scorpion farm. Also, I just Google searched scorpion farm and found a website that says a news story, the scam leaving Iranians with thousands of scorpions on their hands. Like,
literally on their hands. Oh no.
It's a get rich quick scheme that stings. In quite a few countries, but particularly in Iran, people are trying to turn scorpion venom into fortunes. They've invested time and money into building farms with thousands of scorpions and painstakingly milk their venom. There's just one problem. It turns out no one wants to buy it. Like,
there's just one problem with this scheme.
Yeah. What the fuck? It's so weird. Because the first result when I searched it was like scorpion milking. I'm like, okay, scorpion milking. I'll leave that alone. Okay. And then just saw the thing about this the scam leaving Iranians with thousands of scorpions on their hands.
I just love that phrasing. That is an
Here's
amazing
a Quora
headline.
result. How to start a scorpion farm that I can legally sell extracted venom. Thanks, Quora.
Oh, thanks. No, I will not sign up.
Procure a market. The market for venom is extremely limited. No shit.
My granddad milked scorps. My dad milked scorps. I milk scorps.
You got it.
I'll be damned if my son don't milk scorps.
Yep. We're a squirt milking family. 3 generations of squirt milk.
Jesus.
Yeah, so Homer's doing that.
Right.
Likely.
Yeah. And this mission involves chasing down Smithers's car and destroying it before he gets to the plant. It's not too hard to smash up his car. It's like the fancy limo that hit Bart. But the problem here is you need to buy the Plow King.
Yep, your regular sedan won't do it.
Mm-hmm.
You need the Plow King. Let's talk about car health.
Yes.
Probably a good time to bring that up. So your cars have a health meter. It varies depending on the model. The way you get your health back is just by driving over wrenches.
Yes.
And they put those strategically on routes where you'll need them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's pretty good, I suppose. It does add a little, like, when I'm already, failing the mission by 1 second, it is frustrating to go out of my way to get a wrench.
Yeah.
Which happens, and car damage is persistent. So if you damage a car really badly in a mission, it will still be damaged.
Yes.
In the next mission. Nothing heals. Like, you have to actually heal up.
Mm-hmm.
So this introduces having to buy a car, which is a pain.
Mm-hmm.
If you can't afford it, you have to go grind it up. And the destruction missions, which this is going to make me sound extremely nitpicky, but this is one of the more frustrating little missions to me in the game, is that the only thing that will damage an opponent's car is you hitting it.
Mm-hmm.
Cannot do any cool shit like making them hit other cars.
Nope, you can't run them into an embankment. Which
is really cool. Like, that's a very fun thing to do. And it took me a while to figure out that wasn't actually damaging the car. Like, the car has a little health meter and destroy it. Like, it was evident. I could have just figured it out immediately.
Yeah.
But I just assumed, like, oh yeah, this will work.
Yeah.
Like, this is cool. If you knock a car off of a ravine or something, it just teleports back up. Like, if you knock into a river, that doesn't count. It's only demolition derby. Like, it is only you hitting the car.
Yeah.
So these missions end up being about getting enough speed
to
like hit a car because you're turning constantly. Like, there aren't a lot of like wide open things. The strategy for these I found was to let the car get ahead of me so it would be taking a turn.
Yep. And then
so I could go full speed and T-bone it. And this is where the traffic fucking like drove me absolutely nuts because the car would just snake out of the way in front of me and divert me from this ram that I needed.
Yep. No, and you cannot use that traffic. Like, if you could use the traffic, this would be one mission where the traffic would be very welcome. Here, though, all the traffic serves to do is deny you incredibly small windows. Additionally, like, the traffic is there, one of the purposes it serves is to slow down your speed. Right, like to deny you the ability to accelerate to any kind of ram that will, do a kind of damage. So what ends up happening is like just lots of very ineffectual bumper rubs that you do, until the time runs out, and then you're done.
Yeah, you can like kind of, and it has to be the way that damage is calculated is exclusively based on the speed you're at when you hit a car. Like, if I clip a car at very high speed, it will do good damage.
Right.
If I, just go head on with it, and one of us is not going very fast, it'll barely do damage. Sometimes you can corner a car
Yeah.
and kind of grind it into a corner. And I'm like, oh, this should surely be exploding this car at some point. Like it keeps hitting things around it. No, it's just T-boning and rear-ending it. That really counts. And it's pretty frustrating. Like, these ended up being a nice change of pace for me because it's a different goal than just getting somewhere fast, which is what the goal is for everything else. But I just ended up really wanting them to have a different kind of modeling for the damage.
Yeah. If a game, if you try to do something in a game and you think, okay, you ask it, is this going to be possible? Is this going to work? And the answer is no for what seems like no really good reason. That is desperately unsatisfying.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it would have felt cool to like do the fishtail maneuver or whatever, like, done a clever way of destroying this car rather than a brute force way, but it takes that away from you.
To force in an ongoing traffic like you do, like is behavior we condone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh. One thing you can do if you want to grind up some coins, you don't get coins directly for finishing missions, but sometimes you'll, get them over the course of the mission itself. You can do bonus missions.
Mm-hmm.
So here, you can stop by Cletus's house and get the bonus mission, This Old Shanty.
Yeah, I did some of these.
Yeah.
I think I just missed some of them and I was okay with it.
Yeah.
So this one, he wants you to kind of drive around, do chores for you, get some cardboard tubes from around town for his indoor plumbing, and knock down his tobacco plants so the kids can harvest them. So, I'm a fan of tobacco.
Me too. Tobacco is like, I always forget how late that happened in the run of the show.
Yeah, but it is genuinely very funny.
Yes, the goat breaking through the wall. Tobacco. Yeah. Very good.
Very good. So moving on to mission 3. Now, we got the Plow King. We destroyed Smithers' car. Moved on to mission 3, Office Space. This is the one where you destroy the car. Yeah. Before he gets to the power plant. And this is where we're introduced to different cars, how they handle differently. And they generally follow the Final Fight rules of like big, slow, strong.
Right.
Little, fast, weak.
Handling is worked in there too. That's going to be one of the bigger differentiators that, that will force you to make a better, to force you to make a particular choice within like a car's weight class. Yeah.
Yes. It's what makes the bus a nightmare.
Yes.
On this thing.
And it forces you to use the bus a lot.
Yeah. Yep. So you eventually get to the power plant, and now you've done this. You go inside, you go to Homer's workstation. And there's a camera outside watching you.
This cannot be. Homer says, "How can I sleep with that camera? Sexy girls could be watching me on the internet," which is a very clever joke.
Yeah,
because he figures he watches sexy girls, so they must watch him too.
And this is a weird on foot mission. It's like one of two.
It's a weird one-off. They're like, okay, we're going to try this. It's like they left a prototype in the game, actually.
It's very strange.
Yeah, because what you need to do, you need to go around the power plant and destroy these power couplings and in order to depower the cameras. And you're just kind of navigating these little moving platforms and timing platforming sections in order to get to all of these within the time limit.
Yeah. And this is a video game level.
Yes.
Like when you go up into the rafters, like there are moving bridges and trapdoors and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Here. Once you do so, you get back to your workstation. The workday is over. You return home to watch TV. And the news is all about these WASP surveillance cameras, as well as these black vans that are around town.
Yes.
So you get suspicious of this. It's very proactive, Homer.
Yeah.
And have to tail one of these black vans.
Yeah.
One of the things I love about this game is when you tail things, there's never a stay close but not too close.
Yeah, they don't pull that Assassin's Creed bullshit on you.
That is, I hate that so much in GTAs. I think it's like one of the, it just drives me crazy. This, something gets too far away from you, but you can be right in front of it. You can be right next to it the entire time.
Yeah.
So there's no stealth elements to Simpsons Hit and Run.
Very good.
So thank goodness.
Yeah. But, in this mission, you just follow one of these black vans. And I like this quite a bit because you go through the power plant and you go through the Stonecutter's entrance tunnel.
Yeah. Good attention to detail.
Love that.
There. The van gets to Mr. Burns' front gate. So we assume that Mr. Burns is behind the bees. We go talk to Marge about the plan. She's at the try and save. And she is just like, that's all well and good, Homer, but here's another plot. It's, go destroy all the copies of Bone Storm Bone Storm 2 specifically.
Yes.
Because Bone Storm is already out before they can corrupt the youth, which that's some real early Marge.
Yes.
Like this is sober Barney, but I feel like Marge of this era would not care about this.
No. Her being a like a moral crusader. It feels like that tapered off around the time of the La Maison Derriere.
Scratchy.
Oh yeah.
Oh sure, that too, yeah. So you have to so this introduces a new type of mission. Where you have to hit the delivery truck and make it spill things and then pick up the thing all under a time limit.
Yeah.
These are really interesting because as far as I can tell, there are two different types. So there's also ones that just drop things. You don't have to hit them.
Right.
This one you need to hit. But it goes on a route, but it's a pretty long route. So depending on how quickly you can get these hits in, the mission changes like quite a bit.
Yeah.
It can move into more difficult areas, the truck, if you let it.
Yeah, I like these. These end up being fun. The ones where they drop off the pieces at particular points, it kind of those seem designed specifically to fuck you, and not necessarily like to let you find cool new lines. It's like, oh, it'll swerve and then drop one of these right in front of a like a light pole or something like that. Well, fuck you then.
Well, and even these, if you miss something, like that's kind of it for you because you have the maneuverability of a car. Like you have to turn around to pick it up and then turn back around,
right,
to chase it. So either the ones whether you hit them or when you drop them, they can both be a problem. These ones where you hit it too, they can end up in inaccessible areas.
Oh yeah.
Like I had these glitch before where it would get somewhere where I couldn't get even on foot.
Yeah.
Like the thing would just spawn somewhere unreachable. So that's a pain. It's not a huge deal, but it's a pain.
Yeah.
These in general, I agree. I think are pretty fun mostly.
Yes. Yeah.
So.
But you go back and you report to Marge, hey, I've done this. And Marge bemoans saying, oh, if only more kids would play games about sharing. And Homer, Marge, I have poor crazy plans.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Now I need to go spy on my boss.
So you go meet Carl in front of the power plant, tell him what you saw, and Smithers overhears you, and he's going to go tell Burns. So the final mission is you racing Smithers. To get to the mansion before he does.
Yeah, this is pretty neat. So the Evergreen Terrace area is roughly circular, and you primarily have been going in the same direction around it the entire time. This has you going opposite from where you've gone. So like some of your shortcuts, if you haven't been exploring or if you haven't been going this way, you have learned the shortcuts one way, but not necessarily the other way.
Yeah. And some of them are one-way shortcuts as well.
Yes. Yeah.
So there are different shortcuts to going back the other way. Yeah, this is hard, but good.
Yes.
This is probably the balance that they should have aimed for. This is as hard as the last mission should have been, basically, in the game. This took me a few tries. When you get there, Mr. Burns is outside. He, of course, fires you. Because that's what happens. You go and you're like, I know what you're up to. And he admits to shooting down Amelia Earhart's plane. Which I think is great.
So some of my favorite jokes in The Simpsons are jokes about how old Mr. Burns is, and just jokes about the pop culture he would have enjoyed in the 20s. And that is on full display in this game in very fun ways. But when he just says that hussy was getting too big for her jodhpurs, I was like, very good.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
But he has nothing to do with the vans.
Yes. No. He thinks that it is part of some Pizziola concern.
So we move over to level 2 now, and now we're Bart driving around in a race car, and the music has turned into hard rock and metal,
like Bart listens to.
And we're in a totally different location, which I appreciated, which is downtown, but there are parts of it that really feel like Capital City to me.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is real Capital City. And this is mostly Bart trying to get a copy of Bone Storm 2, and also learning a little bit more about the Kole conspiracy.
Yes.
So your starting car is the Honor Roller, Martin Prince's soapbox derby car, and it's really fun. It controls really well. Like it's really initially and then Lisa's car is better.
Yes.
Like everyone's car is like really good for a little while. You're playing
and then
very,
you get to Marge.
And then you get to Marge is like shitmobile. But the initially you're playing, and this is also it's a much faster car, and there are longer stretches here. So the game is doing some things with design here in terms of mission. Like you're playing more with speed. In level 2 than you ever did in level 1.
Yeah, level 2 has a lot of highway sections that have a lot of curved off and on ramps that you do that bleed into this car being good and fun. From a theming perspective, it is really weird to be playing as Bart driving a car around, but it's fine.
Yeah. I mean, he only drove that car once. And I figured he'd learn his lesson.
Yeah.
So we're going to go through these missions a little quicker and just talk about them in detail when they do something new.
Yes.
Here. So starting off, detention deficit disorder. Milhouse says, Skinner is chasing you, so you have to actually ditch Skinner before you can get a copy of Bone Storm 2. And you head on over to lose Skinner and then get over to Jimbo at the Try and Save, who shoplifted the last copy of the game.
Yes. And this is where I started noticing them reusing jokes, where he says, "I lifted it 4-finger discount, man." Which is like, okay, yep, you're just gonna do that again. That's gonna be fine. But you're still left without the copy of the game, so you go on to Bone Storm 2. So you go on to talk to Kearney, and he says, "Hey, video games are out, but illegal fireworks are in. So you need to go and collect these fireworks while avoiding Wiggum." So it's a bit like a combination, even though you collect the fireworks until Wiggum finds you, and then you have to lose him and enough time to go collect the rest of them. Losing people in this game is generally fun. I find, because that is a place where the kind of dodging in and out of traffic or using the traffic to your advantage actually works. Yes.
So you get the fireworks from different kind of scumbags around Springfield. Eventually getting to Ralph Wiggum.
My dad's gonna arrest you.
Yep. So and that's how you have to ditch him at the end. So you still don't have a copy of the game though.
Nope.
So you go to meet with the comic book guy to see if he has it. But he's waiting in line to complain about the new McBain movie. And he has you have to race to an internet cafe so he can do so he can log on to do that in his horrible car.
Yep, the Kremlin.
I found this really, really hard.
It sucks so bad. Like it has, I don't know if it's the worst stats in the game, but it does not. Yeah, it does not get on the better side of anything. They're like, you don't gain anything for any of its deficits.
No. This is the first time I went on to look at cheat mode stuff. And the cheats in this game are pretty funny. In terms of like, there's not the one I wanted, which was like get rid of traffic.
Right.
But I did do no max speed, which is pretty wild.
Yeah.
It doesn't actually make it easier as you might expect.
Right.
But in searching for that, there are some pretty fun cheats. Again, a PS2 era kind of hallmark.
Yeah. What I ended up doing when things got way too difficult was I disabled car destruction for myself, so infinite car health, and added other cars blow up whenever you hit them, which was a way to clear traffic out and minimize the number of concerns. However, what that does, if you do not, if you're not careful, is it fills up your hit and run meter incredibly fast.
Well, sure.
But whenever the police hit you, they explode. So
so it's okay. Yeah. And that's the way that would make, so you still go to a dead stop when you hit something, but then you can continue driving forward.
You don't have to get around it.
As opposed to now, you have to go around, like you still go to a dead stop. So this moves us on to the third mission. We still don't have the thing, or the fourth mission, because Comic Book Guy tells us that he doesn't have Bone Storm because Frink bought all the copies. There's a little bit of like eye-rolling tour of characters going on. Yeah. A little bit. Like this, again, that kind of like, I don't have your thing, this person has it, is a little bit annoying in Bart's mission. Yeah. I feel like. So we go hang out with Frink for a while.
Yeah. Up at the observatory. Frink is using the power of video game violence to create a monster in order to power the Truckosaurus. We need to help him get all these components that he needs, specifically a World War II radio that you're going to get from Herman and a satellite dish.
The mission is called Bart and Frink.
Timeless reference.
Bart and Fink. So when you follow this black van to Herman's to get the thing, you find that the place has been robbed. Wiggum asks if you know who did it, which all the Wiggum bad cop stuff is good. Yep. So you have to seek out Snake. And because he took the radio because he thought it would get him chicks, so you had to race him with Little Bandit, his car. Yeah,
Little Bandit is one of the best cars in the game. Yeah. But the Honor Roller is, match for it.
Yeah, Honor Roller is good. We didn't talk about this. You can carjack in this as well.
Super
the
weird.
Crazy thing is you don't pull anybody out of the car. You just sit in the passenger seat and they drive for you. Like, it's really bizarre. Like, you just get in the car and ask them to do crimes.
What I want is I want to hug and kiss you.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh, everybody has a good time.
Yeah. That's very wholesome. So you get the radio. Cletus has the satellite dish, though. And generally, I think the Cletus missions, I really kind of hate. Like, I think these are some of the worst ones, not just because of catch-up thing. I don't like this one either.
No.
He wants you to go and get his roadkill, flat meat, to collect. And Apu tries to chase you because he wants to deliver that meat to, you're trying to deliver it to Krusty Burger.
Yeah.
He doesn't want the competition.
Right.
So.
Yeah, so this is, again, just these combination missions. We're starting to see these where it's phase after phase after phase. You have the collection, but then you also have, trying to lose Apu as you get in here.
Yeah.
One timer cuts into the other in a very frustrating way.
Yep.
Yeah.
Once you have the satellite dish, you go to Frank. Frank needs a blender to finish it. You think Dr. Nick will have one because he loves blended girl during surgery. And Dr. Nick, his research monkeys got away just because I tortured them.
Yeah.
So you have to buy the Mr. Plow truck to round them up. I'm like, why do I need this big, horrible truck with bad handling?
Yeah, and low speed
to go do this.
To go get 30 of these things.
30.
30 in probably 3 minutes.
Yeah.
There are a couple of times later on where I make specific note of the ridiculous ask that they have you do, but.
I bet you this is less than 3 minutes, actually.
Yeah.
They kind of lay them out like coins whenever they have you do one of these. So like there are little runs you can make, like little lines, but it's just the margin for error is nothing.
Yeah.
If you fuck up, and when they throw in the ones you have to get out for, it's really difficult because you're looking at an overhead 2D map that shows the location of it, but that does not indicate whether it's on the roof of something or whether that's somewhere you can drive.
Right.
Often. So, and it is always slower getting out of your car.
Classic GTA problem with indicating above or below.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
But eventually you gather up all these monkeys.
Right. At any point here, you could do the bonus mission. I like this one for theming. Dial B for blood. You want to borrow Grandpa Simpson's World War II Jeep, but he lent all of his blood to Jasper, so you have to go get different kinds of blood. For him. So like Mo and the Squeaky Voice team give you bags of blood to take to him.
Like the Squeaky Voice teen has.
Yeah.
the blood monger. This ends with mission 7, where Frink says there are too many people using their cell phones. So this will make the Truckosaurus go crazy.
The most 2003 thing ever said.
So you have to destroy the cars of these cell phone owners. This is a weird one where you don't know how many you have to do. Like you have a time limit and then you destroy one and you never know when the last one is coming.
Yeah.
It's really strange. And again, that thing I talked about earlier where a lot of these missions, like the actual ultimate difficulty of the ending, totally depends on how well you did in the beginning. This is one of them where you can end up with all the time in the world to go get this third car or no time to go get this third car. Then the plot takes a real left turn, both with the sentient rampaging Truckosaurus that happens, which immediately tries to stomp on Bart's car. Bart runs away from it, and I was like, oh, I'm going to get a chase sequence. This is probably going to have the camera facing me, like Crash Bandicoot. It's going to be horrible. But instead, you immediately get abducted by a UFO.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the robot bees. So that was a bit of a stretch. Now we are in Treehouse of Horror territory.
Yep.
Cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which does have a payoff, but it takes a while.
Takes a bit.
We got a couple of real stall chapters going on here.
We have 3 of them. Yeah.
Yeah, because the plot could just continue at chapter 7, basically.
Yeah.
But we have 3 chapters. Again, we're going to move through fairly quickly.
Yeah.
Here. Level 3, Lisa. I love the music in Lisa's level. I love her car.
Yep.
The Malibu Stacy Dream car, except for full size.
Yep.
It's really, it's a little fragile, but it controls really well. It's really fast.
Yeah.
I think that she has a reason to actually be doing things, which I like. And I like the squid port as an area to explore because it's like weird kind of late Simpsons, by which I mean end of the first third of the Simpsons.
Right.
We don't spend go down to Burns' Casino down here and stuff. They're like really great little areas.
Yeah. Like just, I loved like admiring the signs and like, they just had all these gags. Like you can drive by Malaria Zone.
Yeah, exactly. It's fun.
Yeah.
So I actually generally kind of like these levels, except for some of the missions that you do in them, and Lisa's barks.
Of course.
So,
I do have a little bit of a problem with the squid port itself. The game has you go through it, but I never managed to get through it without getting a hit and run.
Oh yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Like you're driving on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Horrible. And then right afterwards, another thing this game does that drives me a little bit crazy is there is a kind of winding highway right past the squid port. On the opposite side of Burns' Casino. And you can't, the guardrails are indestructible in it. So like, I was like, why do that? Like, let me off-road this.
Yeah.
Like I can hit a tree, and trees are the most indestructible thing in video games. Like a lot of times in racing games, like a tree just will not bend. Here trees will blow up.
Yep.
But this guardrail won't do anything. And it was just like, one of these missions in Lisa's area, I was running very late. And I had to go through the squid port, which is very difficult, and then get on that highway. And I would have made it if I could go as the bee flies, but I could not.
No. And something that gets a little, the invisible wall game in this is actually just kind of ridiculous for a game that is encouraging you to explore, either on foot or by going around, in your cars. There often just be times like things that you cannot get over, things that you cannot get around. It just stops you and limits you in ways that are not visibly signaled. Yeah.
Real silly. The basic premise of this set of stages is Lisa's going to go look for Bart.
Yes.
So starting off mission 1, Lisa stops in at Android's dungeon where Bart hangs out to ask comic book guy. He can't answer because he's about to get the itchy and scratchy comic where they finally kiss.
I love
Again,
that.
Just taking a joke from the show, but very good. And you have to race against another nerd and then get back to the store in time to put it in a Mylar bag.
Right. Before it gets to be less than mint condition. Again, you are racing in comic book guy's Kremlin, which is just very bad.
A horrible car.
Yes. They really like saddling you with terrible cars, which is not something that I remember ever happening in the games that this is cribbing from.
Like very rarely, every once in a while you would.
You got to
drive
like a dump truck or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Something like that. But generally, you got to pick which car you would run races in. There's also in GTA, the weird thing that I always found when I played those games was the secret good car was always cabs.
Yes.
Because they're always average.
Yeah.
You could always grab a Mario off the street and just ride him.
Yeah. Sorry. Fun images. Yeah. But you get this. Next place you go, you go to Noiseland Arcade to find Millhouse. And he
I was so mad you couldn't go into the arcade.
Yep.
God. I wanted to so badly.
Yeah, I wanted to walk up to the My Dinner with Andre
tell me more.
cabinet. Yeah. But Millhouse, he says, "Oh, I think I saw him somewhere." And you do a checkpoint race to get there. But you don't find Bart there. Instead, you just find Millhouse. He's just giving you the runaround, hoping that every time he meets you that you're going to fall in love with him.
Yeah, this is pretty funny.
Yes.
There. And the first one is literally 10 feet away too. He's just, just sending you to I think I saw him by the sign, pretty fun.
I wish that there was more Millhouse content in this game, actually.
Yeah. I like Millhouse quite a bit.
Yeah. Less Cletus, more Millhouse, please.
Yeah.
There's no Kurt.
That doesn't. Yeah. No Kurt, no Luann.
Yeah.
So this does not pay off. Millhouse doesn't know. He's just trying to date Lisa.
Yes.
So you stop by the Quickie Mart to see if Apu knows. Apu needs you to stop. The Apu Cletus rivalry is only really present in this game. But boy, do they hate each other in this game.
They're always working at cross purposes.
It's very strange.
Yeah.
Because Cletus is making roadkill deliveries. So you have to knock pieces of meat from his truck. This is very difficult. And also I felt we just did this.
Yeah.
This pool you're swimming in is kind of funny, but boy, you're going to go back to that well quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's not like you're doing this as Bart is driving around Cletus's truck or whatever, or Homer.
Yeah.
It's not doing four stories, that episode.
No.
Lingua is dead. It's not doing that. Yeah.
It's just very frequently this game will be this person might know something. You go to them, and they go, well, you're going to have to help me with this unrelated thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then maybe I'll tell you what I know.
Yeah. In a way that seems like maybe they're
chapter.
trying to make fun of video games for doing that, but they're still just doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I know making fun of games for doing that is a big thing in the actual, like the Simpsons game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that one based on the movie or tied in with the movie. That was like a huge part of that, is just making fun of games.
Yeah.
Which Rockstar threw a big fit because they had a billboard for something called Grand Theft Scratchy. And the Rockstar like tried to get them to take that out of the game.
Okay.
Because they were making GTA 4 at the same time. But like, what a limp joke. It's
yeah.
not even a joke.
No.
How can you imagine being mad about, like Grand Theft? And it's like, the Simpsons made that.
Mm-hmm.
Grand Theft Scratchy. You know, like just replacing a word with another word.
Yeah. Call him something, I don't know, something edgy, something proactive, like Poochie, but not that.
Yeah.
You guys go with Poochie? Yeah.
Homer Theft Auto. You know? Silly.
Yeah.
So this mission sucks.
Yes.
This is really frustrating. You have to knock these pieces of meat out of Cletus's truck.
15 is really high. That's one on the higher side of these knock items out kind of missions. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So next place you go, because I think Apu says, I saw him hanging out with Frink, which is, something that happened previously. You go to the observatory, say, Frink, hey, what happened to him? He says, okay, I saw him, get abducted. Lisa decides that she needs to go talk to someone wise and learned. So you go to Grandpa. And Grandpa spotted Bart's lucky red hat falling out of a black sedan. So we have to buy Otto's bus and destroy 5 sedans, which Bart must be riding around in.
Yeah, this makes no sense.
Yep.
There's no reason to destroy them when he might be in there. The bus, we have to save up money, which sucks.
Yep.
The bus is horrible.
Mm-hmm.
I hate driving the bus in this. And when you destroy the last bus, you're like, oh, I've killed Bart. And I'm like, oh, well, no shit.
Yeah,
like,
Lisa would have had more foresight than that.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's like that Eric Andre thing where he like shoots the gas and you're like, why did I, why
I can't believe he did this.
Yeah, I can't believe he did this. Like, it's very weird.
Yeah.
Destroying mission I generally like, but this is a lot of them.
Yeah.
And it's bad control.
Right. Yeah.
So
Bart doesn't turn up and you decide to work with Wiggum now, but Wiggum won't help you until you help him bust Snake.
Yep. And he says, you're too conspicuous as that, you need a disguise. So you have to go buy the Lisa Cool outfit from the Summer of 4'2".
Probably on depending on the day, my favorite episode of the show.
Yeah, really up there.
Yeah,
one of the all-time greats. Mm-hmm. The way that buying things works in this game is there are just kind of locations that have a little $sign.
Yeah,
they're fairly arbitrary, but those are places you can buy cars or outfits at, depending.
Yes.
So.
Yeah. But this is short. It's a very short mission, but I found this to be really easy to mess up in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This
is. I found this difficult, like even if it is short.
Yeah. No, like it's a weird thing because like short is not necessarily good because what they are asking you to do is perform with incredibly high precision. And it feels like the brevity of the mission is designed for you to iterate over and over again so you can get that level of precision up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not great. But it's just like a collection mission. You follow him around and then he drops evidence that you pick up.
Yeah. And the evidence, like, they are actually individual like sprites.
Yeah.
And they're kind of little funny things, but you're not really in a position to appreciate it.
Right.
The
other sin that this does is you will follow him all the way across the map, and then you have to get back across the town in a ridiculously short amount of time. This is going to be the downfall of a lot of later levels, actually.
Yeah. Like having to get back when there's no narrative urgency.
Right.
To like you getting back. Like you've done the thing.
It's not like the statute of limitations is going to be up on Snake's crimes. Yeah.
It's very strange. Like, they just, most of the time limits in this are arbitrary. So I recognize that it's kind of a silly thing to complain about, but they will occasionally, really kind of push like, oh, this has a narrative weight to it. So it ends up making it very silly when, they undercut that.
Yep.
Once you get that, Wiggum says he thinks he saw Bart down by the docks.
Mm-hmm.
fucking A, like everyone is just sending me to go get another mission from somebody else in exchange for a favor.
Yeah.
What is this, Link's Awakening FedEx quest? Like, this sucks. So you go down there. This is where I found Nightboat, the crime solving boat, though. So I was happy about that.
I love that you say the full title.
What's the name of it?
Yeah.
It's a boat that solves crimes. It's hidden on the bigger boat. So you get down there, you talk to the sea captain. He wants you to collect all these three-eyed fish so you can deliver them to a restaurant. But Lisa's at restaurant, and Lisa's actually going to set them free, which is cute.
Yes. But yeah, just a big collection mission. When you get back, he says, hey, there's that black limo that just drove by. That is what took Bart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you go destroy that limo. And then be like, oh, no, I killed Bart.
Yeah.
But then sea captain says, no, Bart wasn't in there. I saw him get on a cruise ship. I was like, why did you fucking tell me that a second ago?
Jesus Christ.
Holy shit.
Video game.
Yeah. Absolutely crazy. And this is a thing where the map fell down. I couldn't find this forever. I couldn't find the ramp. They add I found the ship, but they add the ramp in. It's not part of the geography.
Mm-hmm.
And because I was just there, like I just kind of didn't see it.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, no. And so another, for like one of the kind of bullshit things about it, if you are following the arrows, right, the pathfinding, it will point you to the ship itself. And I got there, I was like, okay, like I was looking for, I don't know, something like a gangplank, like would happen on a dock where a ship was at. No, nothing like that. The arrow specifically points you away from the ramp that will get you onto the ship.
Yeah, it's really strange. Yeah. I also did end up getting out on foot a lot to try to get on there, and went up on the lighthouse to try to dive bomb.
Yep, same.
Onto it or something, and that didn't work. It's pretty strange.
Yeah.
And generally not great.
Yeah. The fun thing about the lighthouse is you get inside, it does have the Carl Terminator. Terminal. Yeah. Not Carl Terminator. That's different. But the terminal for the automated lighthouse attendant.
Mm-hmm. Earl.
Is Earl. Okay. Yeah.
Electronic automatic robotic lighthouse.
Okay.
My new best friend is Earl. So you get up on there and you find Bart.
Yes.
And his he only speaks in kind of gibberish. There's you ask him his catchphrase. And he snaps out of it for a second and go, kiss my grits.
Very good.
Which I like.
Yeah.
That's funny. But that's the end of the level.
Yes. Yep. And the next one, we got Marge. And she is trying to heal her baby boy's brain. We're back on Evergreen Terrace. And her default vehicle, which I promptly switch away from, is the Canyon Arrow. Because the Canyon Arrow is a fun joke. However, it is not fun to drive. It rolls over incredibly easy. Again, part of the joke, but it shouldn't be the main car for your character. Yeah. So I hopped back into the dream car.
Yeah. Which is better, and you can pull that up.
Yeah,
basically anytime you want. So starting off with Marge, we start off with a few donuts more here. We are chasing Wiggum to Lard Lad Donuts, which he then asks you to, and we're just trying to get him to do his job.
Yes.
He asks you to knock donuts off the delivery truck. Because he's trying to find a crop circle. Yeah. You're trying to find a crop circle because I think I can't remember the exact mechanics of it, but you intuit that aliens are involved.
Yeah. Something maybe Bart said something about it. I forget. I didn't specifically make a note of it. But that's what you're doing. Once you get all these donuts, it says, hey, maybe the crop circle's on Cletus's land. He's the one who's farming the tobacco, so that's possibly where you can go. You go to Cletus, and he thinks that you're here from the New York Times to document his squalor or his decrepitude, which is very funny. And he flees, and you end up having to chase him. And I do not know why you have to collect what falls off of his truck when what you are trying to do is just not lose him. But yeah, they just decided it's been a while since we've done that kind of mission, so let's make this that.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's only rotating between these 5 or 4 mission types.
Yeah.
Kind of a pretty steady clip. This leads us into mission 3, catch-up logic, this is horrible.
This is really bad.
This is one of them that shows up on a lot of people's list of this game.
On TV tropes, this is that one level, along with the snake one later.
Yeah. Well, and the final missions.
Ooh.
Fuck, man. So you talk to Cletus. He wants you to help him with the harvest, which is getting ketchup packets.
Mm-hmm. So he can survive the winter.
Fine joke.
Yep.
You have to go buy inmate clothes to do this. I can't remember why. I don't think
she doesn't want to ruin her good clothes.
Oh, that's what it is. But yeah, she goes and buys like a prison uniform. It makes no sense.
Right.
But it's super tricky. Like you have 18 packets you have to get. It's 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all over town.
Yes.
Like pretty wide swath with different things. We're running into all those things with the 2D map. I think you have to get out of your car at a certain point with these ones.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Specifically like through Monty's mansion, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So very frustrating mission, like 1,000 tries.
Yeah. I think this is one I ended up having to skip.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting into Skip Town for old Kole here. So not good. Funny joke at the end though. You get the ketchup and you take it back to him and he says, "My granddad seen one of them corn drawing once, but he's with Allah now."
Yeah,
him and his family being Muslim is very good to me.
That got me. Yeah, that was very funny. Did
not that being Muslim is inherently funny, but Cletus specifically.
Yeah, it's specifically playing against type.
Yes.
Yeah, that got me as well.
So he says, go ask some of these other old folks because my granddad seen one. So
yeah. So we go and find Hans Molman in the graveyard hiding from the police
because he's out after curfew. I can't go to jail again.
Yeah, I'm pretty into that. It's funny. And he says, go get Abe before the police lock the doors for curfew. So we have to race against Wiggum, who's going to go lock up Abraham Simpson. Like, it's just very strange at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it plays into the joke about the retirement palace, which is that, it's elder abuse, but
yeah.
I don't know.
That good joke about
that thing that happens a lot.
One of those good jokes about elder abuse the Simpsons is so known for. Elder and child are the two kinds of jokes that, Simpsons loves to do.
Yeah. But you get there and Grandpa will not talk until you get his get his meds back. I love the name for this, even though it's not what happened. Wolves stole my pills.
Yeah. Would be very funny if that was,
literally.
That actually the thing would be funny too, but it's funny that he just thinks so.
Yes.
So this is a checkpoint race. Initially going to locations and then knocking the pills off the car.
Right.
Race. You ultimately end up getting some trucker's choice pills. Again, just kind of repeating a joke from the show, but as far as famous pills in The Simpsons, that's probably the one I would think of.
Yep. He and that wakes him up, and there's some Grandpa's hyper jokes here, those classic jokes until he finally says, he calms down and he says, this memory is from so long ago that I'm going to recall it in sepia tone. And he describes what the crop circle looked like out on his land at the farm. And what he's describing is the Buzz Cola logo, which we've been seeing all over the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. So this moves on to mission 6, the Cola Wars. Marge shows Bart the logo, and this kind of snaps out of it. He explains that the aliens are using the cola to drive people crazy. So you need to go get the cop outfit, which makes it 2 outfits we have to buy.
Mm-hmm. Officer Marge is on the case.
Yep. Yeah. Over and over and over.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about the fact that Marge was a cop for a while is real strange.
Yeah.
To me, this is a tangent, but I watched the movie Bridesmaids.
Okay.
Again, you ever see that movie?
No, I understand it's very good. I never saw it.
It's good. It's funny. But it goes like 2011 or 2013 or something like that. It's early part of the aughts. And it has the boyfriend, like the love interest in it that she ends up finding is a cop. And it's super weird. She breaks a bunch of laws, to get his attention at one point. And I'm like, man, is this hard to do now? It's like, and the other lead in that is Maya Rudolph. And I was like, if it's Maya Rudolph in the car, you definitely couldn't do this.
No.
And this was late enough to where you'd know that.
Yeah.
You don't get to pretend to hit a cop's car with your car to to get their attention for something.
No.
The other thing that's weird about it, though, is no matter what, he's always on duty. He's always in his outfit, and he's always driving his cop car. Like, it feels like they would think that we would forget. Like, later he shows up at a wedding in his cop uniform, his cop car.
Christ.
Like, it's really strange. It's like, man, what is going on with that?
He really shows up in plainclothes. Wait, did he get fired?
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, maybe that would happen. Yeah. He should have gotten fired. He's constantly breaking the law for Kristen Wiig.
Yeah.
Yeah,
she's fine. Not worth going to jail for, though.
Yeah. It's a silly movie. It's also, she keeps talking about how this person she's jealous of is really skinny, and Kristen Wiig weighs like 60 pounds.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, oh, she's skinnier than I am. And I'm like, movies, you have to stop fucking doing that.
Yeah, you can't
like,
get away with that.
It is so frustrating.
You can't get away with it.
Yeah. Jesse Pinkman voice. Movies, you can't keep getting away with this.
Oh man. So this is another on foot collection mission. And you're just going around the neighborhood outside. I don't remember this being particularly egregious like the other ones are, but yeah.
If it's on foot from the start, it's not really a problem. It's like when they mix. And that becomes more of a problem with Apu.
Yes.
That's not the titular problem with Apu, but it's a distant second.
Yes. So there is a bonus mission here that I like, at least thematically. Comic book guy, he is despondent because he is trying to woo Agnes. Agnes Skinner. Again, this is that period of The Simpsons where they were going
everyone
out.
Loves that plot.
Yeah. But Skinner is accepting all of his, or is intercepting all of his gifts. So you have to go and collect all of them from around the school. I ended up I thought this was fun. Getting up on the school was good, but
this is fine.
Yeah.
The level ends with From Outer Space, where Marge tells Apu that he's selling the tainted cola. And he says, well, I'm getting it from these distributor trucks. You have to destroy the cola trucks in a limited amount of time. And this segues us into an Apu level, as the sixth Simpson. And fifth Beetle.
Yep. Level 5 here. We're playing as Apu downtown, and we are searching for the root of the cola conspiracy. Because even though he is fine selling tainted merchandise everywhere, he feels had. And his default car is a sports car. I forget what they call it, but it is the one that he is washing when he is singing along to Dream Police.
Yep. And it's a good car. Started with mission 1, incriminating caffeine, where you go to the address of the distributor, which is an empty place in the rail yard, which is like unusually creepy for The Simpsons. And you have to,
nothing good happens at a rail yard.
No. And anytime somebody sends you to an address and there's nothing actually there, I read about this. I know I'm getting digress because it's just because we're just kind of like, we've seen all the tricks. God damn it. Yep. Simpsons Hit and Run. I read a thing yesterday about Airbnb scams.
Okay.
And apparently that's a big thing.
Huh.
Where like, so if you ever do an Airbnb and the owner, the person you're talking to says like, oh, there's a big plumbing accident. Can you go to this other location?
Oh God.
That is part of like a well-known nationwide Airbnb scam. Where you go to like a flop house, like the way that like they're like cigarette burns on the furniture and stuff.
Yeah.
And they send you to that. And then when the person tried to go to this other location they were sent, there was nothing there. It was like an empty, like the address didn't exist.
Huh.
Like, whoa.
So they like, how can that be? Like, how can they keep the money when you report it and say, hey, this is
because of shitty contractor culture. Airbnb isn't responsible for anything because it's Uber, So they, you have to like, it's very, very difficult to get your money back from something like that because Airbnb is horrible.
And I forgot we lived in hell. Momentarily.
Corporate. Cannot wait for one of these tax plans that involves insurance. So every single person who works can be an independent contractor.
No.
Like we just don't have employees anymore once we have entirely employee mandated healthcare.
Jesus.
And every landlord raising their rent by $1,000 per month.
Yeah.
So, yep. Horrible. Absolutely horrible. So you have to chase a cola truck out of this empty area, which you find to collect evidence there that it drops. The trucks are very fast.
Yes.
And this is in the downtown area. So you are on the highway doing these jumps. Getting to know this highway was satisfying. It took a while.
Yeah.
For me to like get it, but once I got it, it was like, oh, this is like learning actual like highway system.
Yeah,
like
yeah. But the truck, it ends up at the Legitimate Businessman's Social Club, And Louis, he threatens your family, and this reminds Apu that he has 8 children.
Yes. Yep.
So you have to run away from the mob as you race toward the hospital where the kids are.
Yes. Yep. To go get them. Once you get there, 8 is too much. Hibbert tells you that you need to get diapers for your kids, but the parents of the Shelbyville 9 are buying the diapers up.
I like that rivalry.
Yeah, me too. Like the Shelbyville 9. Like I love this. Love the Shelby.
I would say we're on cloud 9.
What was Apu's shitty one? 8? Or would you say you have a love 8
relationship? Even their soundbite is better than ours.
Yeah. Yep. I love it. I love the Shelbyville 9. This is a good episode for late Simpsons, by which I mean like season 9 or whatever. Like, good late Simpsons content. So you need to get a different car for this.
Mm-hmm.
And you can buy the Homer car.
You must buy the Homer because you have to buy the gas guzzler. From the gas guzzling American car from Homer, which is weird because you're driving a sports car. It's a muscle car. Like that would guzzle a lot of gas. Also guzzles gas. Yep. But the Homer is actually really good. I didn't expect the Homer to be like one of the better cars in the game.
Yeah.
But it's fast and durable.
We're talking about the Homer is also the car and a name. If you were listening to this episode and you don't know anything about the Simpsons, like God bless you and God help you.
Yeah.
But he got to design a car at one point.
Yeah, for his brother Herb.
Yeah,
his brother Herb gave him free reign to make a car, and he made the most hideous thing in the entire world.
Yep. And ruined his brother's business.
Yes,
but it's a cool looking car. It has domes, which I appreciate. So
I really wish that there was a horn honk button in this, so when he honked, it could play La Cucaracha. But
yeah, yep.
Oh well.
So you get the Homer, and you have to bust up the Shelbyville 9's car. So like baby on board sign is not stopping you from ramming their car.
No.
To make them drop diapers.
Mm-hmm.
And again, another joke I like, when you get back with the diapers, Dr. Hibbert's like, another minute and my office would have looked like the Ganges River, which is just like, whoa, shit.
Coming in pretty hot, huh?
Yeah. That's an image.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with that digression, with our children taken care of, we go on to talk to Krusty because he has been hawking all this cola. But Krusty has no answers. He says, "Hey, the cops must be in on this, but you're a little bit too conspicuous. You have to dress American." So you have to buy his Apu's American outfit, which is very funny because it's got like a 10-gallon hat and a Yankees a Yankees jersey top. It's very funny. It's still bad that you have to go grind up coins to buy it, but again, the outfits are good.
Well, and it's 2 missions in a row.
Yeah,
where you have to do that. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Give me a break. This is, I think, the first level where you have access to Krusty Lou Studios, where there is a big coin farm. Mm-hmm. So at least it's ameliorated a little bit.
Yes.
So you have to follow the cops and collect donuts. 21 donuts in less than 1 minute. 3 seconds a donut. Yeah. And then you have to follow the cop to the DMV, all in that time zone.
I'm sorry, I wasted my because all of my blah should be saved for never trust a snake. Yeah. I consider this to be the worst mission in the game because I still had some hope that the difficulty was not headed in the exact wrong direction. Like, I hadn't gotten to the last 3 levels yet. But yeah, never trust a snake. Snake gives you his mission. You got to do his community service for him. You have to collect several pieces of litter, which involves going all the way across town. This mixes in on foot and in vehicle sections very, very poorly. Some of the trash is up on roofs. Some of the trash, like in the game, they will lay out the coins in such a way that you have to go off of a jump. But then after you go off the jump, you have to do an Austin Powers 97-point turn to go back and get the ones that you missed over the course of the jump.
Yep.
And the worst thing is each of these little phases of the mission shares a timer.
Mm-hmm.
So you have 4 minutes and 15 seconds to get all the way across town and then get back. By the time you get to the other end, you maybe have 20 seconds to get all the way across the map.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It is the ultimate expression of that, like, your early successes determine your later possibility.
Yeah.
But working on a 4-minute, like, it's weird that the time limit being this long and having everything under it is a huge disservice, because it means when you're iterating on it.
Yeah.
Like when I failed this, I didn't fail it by very much. But it's replaying a 4-minute loop, plus with the, the intro and kind of getting into position, load time is probably 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And 5 minutes doesn't seem like a long time. Well, let's insert 5 minutes of silence into the podcast right now.
No, let's not, actually.
I know. I'm just saying 5 minutes is a very long time to be doing something over and over and over and over. And they had to know.
Yep.
Like, they had to know this was going to be really tricky. This is so early 2000s game design.
Yeah.
Like, just allowing for this, like, really, really shitty little, like, timed, huge difficulty spike. And I would love to get, like, more insight on this kind of thing. Like, is this is this like a developer being puckish? Is this something where they honestly just didn't see it as a problem? Was this intentional because they felt like, like, we're ramping up? Is it a troll? Like, I need to know why Never Trust the Snake is.
Yes.
Like, it's early enough in the game where I don't feel like they ran out of time for it, but maybe there were problems with, like, testing.
Yeah.
Maybe something like that. Maybe the testing, because I understand there's a lot of publisher pressure that game developers get under. So maybe they did not have enough time to do testing this late in the game, because the game is definitely going to be a preponderance of this kind of nonsense.
Yeah.
Like, the last half of it is definitely more shitty than the first half.
Yeah.
So this is horrible.
Yeah. Like,
this is the only one it made me skip. That's not a brag. Because all the rest of them, I'm sure I was like 1 or 2 failures away from having to skip it. But this one, it asked me to skip. And it was the first time I'd been asked. And I was like, nah, I'll keep trying, I guess. And then I was like, fuck this. Like, after another half hour of just iterating this mission over and over and over.
There's no dishonor in it.
Yeah.
It feels a little bit, so like one of the buttons on the controller, if you press the select button on the PS2, what it does is reset your car.
Yeah.
And that is pretty much there entirely in case your car gets stuck on geometry. It will put you back on the road. The mission skip feels a little bit like we cannot solve the problems endemic to either the engine or our design in order to actually make this a smooth thing that humans can do with their hands and brains. So we're just going to put in this pressure release valve. We're going to put in the button that resets the car. We're going to put in the skip feature for these missions that we could not play test to get around. I hate to be this uncharitable, but like I look at something like Never Trust a Snake, and it either has to be incompetence or malice.
Yeah. Yeah. It's very frustrating.
Yeah.
And there's that kind of, contrast this to me, at least with the like Mario games that give you the way around this stuff, because those were never, that's like for kids and stuff.
Yeah.
Generally is the intention. Like that is for, and you can, I'm not no shame on you if you're an adult and you skip a Mario mission, you use the invincibility thing or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm down with that. I have no problem if you do that. But I think that the design there is the idea is like literally everyone can play.
Yes.
This doesn't have that feeling of inclusiveness in this design. This has a feeling of papering over.
Yeah.
Very frustrating.
Yeah.
Probably the worst mission in the game, even though if I aggregate the last 4 missions and I include Homer climbing up the UFO, I hate that more.
God damn it.
This is at least tied.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is followed up by another stinker. The quick cache, where you have to do more community service for Snake. It involves you destroying an armored car with Little Bandit, which is a huge ask. It takes forever.
Yeah, the armored car is very tanky.
I tried, and Little Bandit's it's a sports car. Like it doesn't have any, like it has speed, but it doesn't have any mass to do any damage. The only mercy for this is that there is no time limit.
Yep, and you will have to repair your car partway through this, which just gets tedious. Like, again, no time limit, but it is very tedious.
Yeah.
Then you have to lose the police afterwards. I missed this bonus mission. I did not do this because I was mainlining.
Yeah.
But there is a Kinky Frinky one where Frink's hover car got away from him while he installed the computer, and you have to chase it down and destroy it. And it's super fast and changes directions really quickly. Like it's a weird kind of novelty car and how it handles.
Yeah. Which makes it very unpredictable for getting in there. This chapter concludes with Curious Curator, Snake says, hey, the trucks are registered to the museum, which closes in 5 minutes. And you team up with Bart to get to the museum within a time limit, while also destroying some cars. It is very unfocused.
You know what the time limit is for this mission? It's not 5 minutes, though.
No,
like
it's
it's so silly. It's like the museum closes in 5 minutes, and then like a 90-second time limit pops up on the screen, and I'm like, you're just pulling my leg now.
Yeah.
Like, when you eventually get into the museum, you see that the cola is coming out of a meteor. So we're real off the deep end with this shit at this point. The cola is coming out of a meteor, and it animates a T-Rex skeleton. And I was like, oh, okay, there's animated like dinosaur skeletons now. There's Skelosauruses going on in The Simpsons now. However, as it walks towards you, Bart trips over an extension cord and drops the meteor on kills the dinosaur.
Yes. Yeah.
So.
And as they are going through the museum, they pop by a vent and they hear Kang and Kodos talking about how the ratings for Foolish Humans, their television show, the ratings are way down. This is very funny because I forget if it's Kang or Kodos. One of them is taking a bubble bath.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah.
Cute.
Yeah. But yeah, what they've been doing is they have been filming us as a reality show. In order to, so they've been filming us as a reality show. Things have been too stable, so they've got to spice things up by tainting the water supply with the evil cola and distributing laser guns.
Yeah, it's a very Mojo plot from the X-Men. So
it's been a while since I thought about Mojo. Sorry.
Yeah, it's a real Mojo, big Mojo energy from this. This moves us on to another filler chapter, basically, chapter 6. We're back in Bart's shoes, but it's Bart in Lisa's zone, the Squidport zone.
Yes.
Trying to basically convince people to stop this plot, like generally, like trying to ameliorate the damage.
Yeah.
So you're trying to convince Krusty to stop the plot, but nobody wants to help you.
No.
During this.
Yeah. So like you race with Otto down to Krusty Lou Studios. This little mission you have to do in the bus again. Sucks. You have to collect all these school children. Krusty won't help you. Or actually no, Krusty isn't there. Barney says, hey, he's down at the Squidport doing this promo event, and you have to drive, you have to chase down Krusty's limo and then race him to the Squidport. This is another one where the waypoints are going to actively fuck you. Because you have to cut through the studios, or you have to cut through like one of the canning factories to get there quickly enough. This mission is very funny, the getting down with the clown, because I had on the cars explode in one hit kind of thing. And when Krusty, or when the car you're chasing drives by you at the very start of the mission, they program it so it's going to clip you just a little bit. And so I had to restart the game because the scripted clip caused my car to explode. No, it didn't cause my car to explode. It caused that car to explode. And you can't chase a car that is destroyed. No. It messes with the mission logic. That was very funny.
That's pretty great.
Yeah.
But this is Barney says that we have to find Krusty down at the Squidport doing a promo. So we race him down there. When we get down there, Krusty doesn't believe you. But Bart says, no, Frink will let us know. A lot of Frink content in this game, more than anything else. So we have this chase against Frink's hover car.
This sucks. You go around town like 50 times.
Yeah, this really sucks. And his car, which is like has a lot of weaknesses, doesn't really have those weaknesses when a computer is driving it.
No, it can account for it.
Yeah, the computer knows what's going on.
Yeah.
So this sucks. Once we catch up with Frink, he says that he has received an alien transmission. The aliens have hidden lasers in the Duff trucks. So you have to knock the lasers out of the Duff trucks to show them to Krusty. This whole thing is like getting help from Krusty as if Krusty is going to play a big part in the climax of this or something. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Because he does not.
No, he doesn't care. Which is Krusty's whole thing, really. This mission, Full Metal Jackass, does not need to exist. Why would Bart think that Skinner would help him? Yeah. Like he pulls over, he sees Skinner at the side, comes out and says, hey, we need to stop this. And all he does, he makes a joke about zero tolerance policies and confiscates the laser. So you have to destroy Skinner's car.
Yeah. Yeah. It's explicitly padding, and it's not the first bit of explicit padding in this, but it's late in the game for this.
Yeah.
Come on, guys. So you do that. You take out Skinner's car. We go to show the gun to Krusty, but it's too late because they've set up free laser gun stands all around town to kind of boost ratings. And you need to destroy these, but you have to go get Hank Scorpio's supervillain car.
Yeah, which you have to buy from Kearney.
Yeah, I don't understand why that is.
I understand why they didn't want to get Albert Brooks back, to have you go buy it from Hank Scorpio himself. But like Gil walks around and he is a car vendor.
Yeah.
Why are you buying it from Kearney, Gary?
I don't know. No. It's very, very arbitrary.
Yeah.
In this point, like the reality of this has gone.
Yeah.
I mean, there's animate dinosaurs, the laser gun stands, like, this is some beyond the pale stupid Springfield.
Yeah.
Stuff. And this mission sucks as well.
Mm-hmm.
Destroying all the saving up for it sucks, and then getting the time limit on this is really harsh.
Yeah.
Completing it, we learn that the aliens have taken over Duff Brewery.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to go there.
Yes, we have to go there, and getting there involves going to talk to Homer for the mission. Kang and Kodo strike back. You go find Homer, and he says, "Hey, you remember how I told you I sold my old car to get money for your college?
Yeah.
Well, I lied." And Homer's car is his old 70s sports car with the crazy spoiler on the back of it, which is very fun. Mm-hmm. And you have to race to the brewery, like you're trying to like get past somebody. This is fine. The margins are a little bit tight, but like the races are not the most difficult thing in the game.
No.
So, yeah.
No. But you do get there, and this is the other thing I think in level 5 is the hidden car for this is an RC car. Which just drive, you just shrink down to do it, which is kind of fun. Like that is pretty fun to joyride around.
Mm-hmm.
But Kang and Kodos taught you the water supply has already been tainted, so you're too late, making this whole chapter nothing.
Yes.
And this is going to cause the dead to rise, which moves us into the final chapter of the game, level 7, which is the coolest aesthetic chapter of the game, where it is the Treehouse of Horror level.
Yeah.
Everything is spooky and scary. It's all nighttime. Like the sun has been going down slowly. Like this whole thing takes place during a day.
Yeah.
So, the game can actually be kind of weirdly pretty at points. Like the sunset chapter is really nice.
Yeah.
But this is great looking. Like they kind of remade most of the town. There are areas that are blocked off because they did not remake them.
Yeah.
But you can go through most of the town here in this great kind of spooky, scary version.
Yeah. And they've like redone a lot of the assets too. So like when you drive by the Lard Lad donut, like he turns to look at you.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. And like
but you shouldn't look.
No, just don't look.
Just don't look. Yeah.
Yeah. But like you go by the school, like the school has been renamed like the Hogwarts knockoff from that one later Treehouse of Horror, like when they started doing like really current stuff. But
when it was just what if a movie?
Yeah.
Here's our 7 minutes of jokes on this movie.
Yep. Yeah. But just to kind of like say this is a complete reskin. Like instead of pedestrians, they're zombies. Instead of the police coming after you, when you get a hit and run, like it's the zombie hearses that come.
Ghouls.
Yep, the ghouls.
Yeah, from the Omega Man.
Oh God, I love it so much.
I love the ghouls, the little doom buggy that they get in.
The little Dracula through it.
Yeah. So the Dracula content in this is higher than you might expect. So pretty cute.
Yeah. The missions are dog shit, but
yeah, exactly. The flavor is great. It's really fun to explore. This, and I, in terms of like the fireworks factory or whatever, I can't express how much I needed this.
Yeah.
like the previous 3 chapters, it just beat me into a submission where I needed something very flavorful and cool.
Yeah.
So badly. And then being able to take the beginning of this and just kind of go check everything out.
Yeah.
Was so medicinal.
Yes.
Like it is the reason I was able to get through the fucking game. Just absolutely dog shit missions here, left and right.
Yeah. First one's not so bad. This is like it feels like these first 3 missions are trying to get you acquainted with the graveyard shortcut.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Yep.
Because the graveyard has been mostly cut off to you, but there's a big jump that you can do to get through it. Here, Lisa's urging Homer like, "Hey, the world is ending. You need to go get some supplies so we can survive." And you have these tight time limit races. First to go to Ned, which is right next door, but you have like 10 seconds to get there.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Just
the fucking gall.
Yeah. It's like anything can be a race. Like, it only takes me a few seconds to walk to my bathroom.
Yep.
But like, maybe say it takes me 4 seconds to walk over to my bathroom. What if I had to do it in 2? Simpsons didn't run.
Yeah. It's funny though, because you asked Ned, hey, can I have your first aid kit? And he's like, oh, I was hoping to save it for Rod or Todd. Funny joke. Either Rod or Todd, speaks from inside the house and asks, Dad, if the zombies are dead, why aren't they in heaven?
Yeah, that's very good. Yeah. The deal with that, theist. And then Mo has a chainsaw. For you that you get.
Yeah, which you convince him to give it to you. Homer convinces Mo to give it to him by saying, well, Mo's like, oh, well, how am I going to defend myself? And Homer says, well, shouldn't people who have loved ones take priority?
Yeah.
I'm not generally a fan of depressed Mo, of suicidal Mo, but that was a fun line.
Took it too far.
Yeah,
like early on, it's really good.
Yes,
I don't deserve this. But then later it just gets too far.
It gets too much. Yeah.
So mission 2, long black probes. We find the comic book guy at the schoolyard under this UFO that's going to park out there and be kind of the nexus on which we rotate for this level.
Yeah.
And this kind of begins these end game things. You had to buy the zombie car by the Doom Buggy for the mission, and then tail an alien back to the power plant.
Right. Once you're there, you talk to Frink. He says, hey, the alien's weakness is nuclear waste. Fortunately, Springfield has it in droves, and we get our first kind of taste of kind of the main mechanic, which is driving with nuclear waste attached to the back of the vehicle. And you can have small collisions, but any, regular medium collision is going to cause the nuclear waste to explode. Not killing you, but starting a new timer for you to go back to pick up more nuclear waste.
Yeah. So in terms of like things that they, game tropes that are bad, they avoided the like you have to tail somebody but don't get too close trope.
Yeah.
But they did not avoid the you're carrying something fragile trope. In fact, they quadrupled down on it.
Yes.
That is the content of the rest of the game.
Yes.
Is doing this. It's really frustrating, and the time limits get so tight that this graveyard jump you have to make. Like you cannot not do this shortcut. You're running the same route basically for most of these, and the graveyard has a little gate at the end with 2 indestructible walls.
Yep.
So if you don't line up your jump the first time, you land and explode every fucking time.
Yep. And then you have to take the long way around.
Yep.
Because you're not going to have enough speed from within the graveyard to make it over the jump.
Yep. Horrible.
Fucking.
Yep. Horrible.
Did anybody play this?
Yeah, it's just incredible. So that's what we're doing for the rest of this. Mission 4, we talked to Lisa at the school. She says we talked to Burns to get more waste. This involves some platforming.
Yeah.
In the nuclear plant, which is very strange. To get to his office, which is full of trapdoors. Is this the one where we climb up on the alien ship?
From maybe fucking I don't know.
I think that's how we get up there.
Yeah.
That's horrible. Like this engine was not made for platforming.
No.
Here's the way the alien ship works. There's this twisted metal ladder that leads up to it of struts and metal and rebar and shit. Very difficult. When you get to the ship is at maybe like a 15-degree angle.
Yeah.
But you cannot jump on it. If you jump on it, you slide off immediately. There's an arbitrary place on the ship that suddenly becomes safe to be on.
Yeah.
And if you fall, you just do it all over again. Like this part isn't timed. It just sucks.
Yeah.
Then when you get up there and you get into Mr. Burns' office, it is full of trapdoors. Yes, we all remember that from the show, but he doesn't have his entire floor trapdoor.
No. There's one specific spot.
Yeah. He's very specifically like, can you move a little bit to your left? Like it is the joke.
Yeah.
But falling down, you have to do that again. It is crazy making.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
And he just says there are barrels of waste hidden all over town,
which we knew. It was they hide them in trees and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, we knew.
Yeah. I want to talk about the bonus mission here because it's a good fake out. You go to Smithers. It's called Flaming Tires. So I'm like, fuck, they're going to make a Smithers gay joke that goes over the line. And like, no, it's actually a joke about Mr. Burns being old. says, "Oh, I've got to do these errands, but I'm late for a brunch date." That's the only gay joke that's in here. And you have to go and get all of this old man shit for Mr. Burns, sock garters, tooth powder, and a copy of an LP of Yes, We Have No Bananas.
Yeah. Which is cute.
Yes. Because Mr. Burns likes to vododiocercise every morning. It keeps his muscles from falling off the bone.
Yeah.
Again, Mr.
Uncommonly scary.
Yeah. But yeah, it's not that this is fun. The extremely tight timing, you're going over these very short distances. There's one very specific jump you have to make, but you can't commit to the jump. You have to kind of go off sideways in order to get it. It's bad, but also I am a sucker for Mr. Burns' old jokes. Yeah,
you're just a mark for it.
Yes.
I get that. This moves us into our final 3 missions. Alien Autopsy, part 1, 2, and 3, which are the same basic objectives. Is you getting nuclear waste from an area, bringing it to the school in different cars, and then driving it into the tractor beam under the alien ship to hit it 3 times like a video game boss.
Right.
You have to use 3 different cars. Everyone gets sacrificed. Who you send up into the alien ship.
Yes.
Because you have to jump off. These are so fiddly. Not only do you have your car will blow up because of the waste thing, but even getting the car to register in the tractor beam is hard. It wants you to jump out, but if you jump out too early, the car will just sit there.
Yeah.
You have to jump out at the exact right time. And you do it 3 times. It's fucking horrible.
Yeah, 3 times in increasingly difficult cars to use.
Yeah, difficult cars to use with tighter time limits and stuff. It is just so lazy as an ending. It feels very uncreative. Just make you do the same 3 things a little bit harder and a little bit worse every time.
Yeah.
It's very frustrating to me. And I understand lazy devs. That is something that annoys me because I know that tons of work goes in every video game. I understand that.
Yeah.
My instinct is just that this lacks imagination. Lacking imagination is a more accurate thing to say than lazy.
Yes.
I'm sure tons of work went into it, but it lacks imagination in a way that I find mildly offensive.
Yes.
So.
And you don't have to do it just 3 times. There are some of these where you have to make several deliveries. And remember, if you get into any kind of collision, then you have to not restart the entire mission, but you have to drop everything and go all the way back across the map, pick it up, and then go back. So there's a little bit of a shuttle run problem going on with this. If it was just 3 times, that would be bad enough, but you're doing it several times within a mission in a mechanical framework that necessarily demands perfection from you, not just in the timing, not just in shaving off seconds in order to make it here, but literally shave off seconds, but also never hit anything. That's too much. It's too much.
It is too much. And it's multiple times as well. Cause if you do blow up,
yes,
and the timer restarts, it's at that point I just restart the mission because it puts me at the thing.
Yeah.
Because fuck it. I don't know. I was so ready for this to be done. At this point, and this is did a really admirable attempt at erasing all goodwill I have for this game. It didn't quite, but it was really trying to make me not like it.
Yeah. Well, especially the last one where they say, fuck it, cars. What's a car? Why don't we have a World War II Jeep with a rocket attached to the back of it that maximizes speed and acceleration, but minimizes handling, so that you just careen around and explode. Yep. Cool.
It is a way to increase challenge.
Yeah, I'll give it that.
It's just not very imaginative, and it's not very fun. It doesn't, a game cannot be fun. I get that. This is not trying to be anything else instead of that, though. This is an artful frustration.
Yeah.
This is not, it's part of the, you have to walk that slow or the game wouldn't work. This is not that, So you eventually do it. You blow up the UFO 3 times. Homer taunts them. You idiots, nuclear waste is actually harmless. And then he has a 3rd arm. Scratching his butt.
He yells at it for scratching his butt wrong. And then it's not there in the next scene.
Yeah, a little cartoon reality here. Yeah. And we cut to later where Lisa and Marge thank him for saving Springfield. But he thinks it's all a bad dream from eating raw hot dogs or some raw hot dog jokes.
No.
Here. Which there are no such thing as a raw hot dog.
Nope, they're pre-cooked when they.
Yep.
Yeah. But then Bart says, "Hey, your fans are outside," and he goes out to flex for his fans, which are all aliens who really liked the reality show. And the camera pans up to show Kang and Kodos with a halo sitting on a cloud, wondering why they went to human heaven instead of alien heaven, just based on where they died. It's a good question. And they say, oh, well, at least it's not hell, because if it was, we'd have to watch these credits. And of course, they have to watch the video game credits.
Yeah, it's actually the bad place.
Yes.
And that's the end of Simpsons Hit and Run, a game that I have is so impossibly hard to say if, I don't think anyone should necessarily play it if you haven't played it before. If you have affection for it, though, I understand why you do.
Yes. Yeah.
It is. It's a weird one. Mm-hmm. Simpsons Hit and Run.
It's really strange going to it, because I was expecting to have a really good time. I did not expect the difficulty. And that is the thing, even more so than the repetition, which I would expect that for my GTA clone of this era. The repetition would have gone down a lot smoother because the repetition can just be an opportunity to deliver more jokes, right?
Yeah.
Like if I was doing the same stuff, but it was giving me the jokes at a regular basis, and my frustration was not overwhelming my receptiveness to those jokes, that would have been okay. This would not have been inspired, but I would have felt very, very served as a Simpsons fan. As it stands, the basic component parts of this, the driving and the world design minus the invisible wall problems and stuff, those are all very good, but getting through it makes me think, I don't like this game, I just really like the Simpsons. And and the Simpsons and the show, the Simpsons and doing it for the show were what dragged me through this. And just barely, sometimes, playing through different games, woe is me. I have to play games for my job. I expect no sympathy here. Something, a way that I can gauge how good a game is do I find myself forcing myself to sit down and play it?
Yeah.
And for this, that was the case. It was really hard to bring myself to the point where I, sat down and committed the time to it.
Absolutely. Yeah. What is we did something recently where I remember talking about playing through a game and with just a thin, a low level patina of frustration throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
This doesn't quite establish that, because when it disappears when it's not that. Mm-hmm. But that happens with enough frequency at the end where no matter how much you're enjoying the core of what's happening, I'm just a little bit frustrated that I have to do it.
Yeah.
Or that I have to redo it, or what it's asking me to do.
Mm-hmm.
Real similar kind of thing. I never played it before. I was happy I played it, I suppose. Mm-hmm. It's interesting. It's kind of funny. It's a weird game. I don't know any games that are exactly this genre, mm-hmm. because it's not a GTA clone. It's a very specific kind of racing game.
Yeah.
But it is ultimately really frustrating and hard to recommend.
Yeah.
In this, in 2019. Mm-hmm. And just so I was thinking about how we don't do a lot of things from this era, mm-hmm. On this, and do you know why?
It's kind of a dead zone because of this stuff. Yeah.
It was people have tons of affection for early 2000s, PS2 era gaming,
but
lots of problems.
Yeah. So many problems.
Some real classics that came out, but there was some just real, boy, this, huh?
It was a real dead zone. Yeah.
Yeah. I've talked about before how, San Andreas was the first game I realized that I was forcing myself to play because I thought I should like it. Mm-hmm. That is something I associate with the PS2 generation. There are some really great PS2 games, but mm-hmm. I associate with that kind of transitional, loading time heavy, this level of uncanny valley mm-hmm. in terms of visuals, aesthetics, with just kind of some really bad design decisions and frustration.
Yeah.
And I bet you if you took all of the frustration I felt from different video game platforms and somehow were able to objectively find that, make a bar graph.
Yeah.
Most of it would be the PS2.
Yeah.
Early 2000. I was just thinking about when we did God of War 1 last year, mm-hmm. and that fucking crate pushing thing that is the first puzzle in the game, mm-hmm. where they're shooting the arrows at you to destroy the thing you're pushing.
Yep.
And that also felt like it had a trollish energy to it.
Yeah.
That a lot of sections of Simpsons Hit and Run have.
Yeah.
And that's just a PS2 thing, man.
Mm-hmm. And this is not incredibly early PS2. This is 2003. No. They had a chance to figure out a bunch of this stuff. And God of War, is, kind of the textbook example of people hold that up as an example of a game very late in the console generation that got it right. And it was really weird going back to it, because I remember feeling that way, going back to it and finding out like, no, like this exemplifies a lot of the design tropes of this era. Yeah. Specifically of console games in this era. Although I have problems of PC games around this time too.
The early 2000s were just kind of like a weird time for games. Like PC games around this time, like the highs are extremely high to me.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, the early 2000s, but
there's a ton of stuff that's way too long and way too fiddly and hard. Yeah.
Everything was too long. Like that was, early 2000s in general. Yeah. Like every game is too long. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the console that brought us Xenosagas was never going to be, it was particularly well paced or like, respectful or, elegant. Yeah. And anything. It's kind of weird because like if you ask me, like I've thought about PS2 before as like a desert island console, just because the highs are so good. Yeah. And there's like so much weird stuff on it. Yeah. But it just as I go back to revisit, it's like, if it's not Shadow of the Colossus, like Silent Hill 2, Shadow of the Colossus, Resident Evil 4, like there's a couple like really, really great games on there. But man,
there's tons of goats, but
there's some real rough ass shit. Yeah. And just like absolutely the worst like era for console RPGs. Yeah. Like, man, I'm going to sit down and play Rogue Galaxy. Okay. So anywho, thank you, Volpez, for suggesting this. As always, just because we were cranky about the game does not mean we were cranky with you. Happy to talk about it. And also, first Simpsons game, first like big license game. Yeah. We've done for the show, first racing game we've done for the show other than Mario Kart. Like, so, a lot of first. Yeah. And this does not preclude us from doing any of those three things again.
Right. Right.
So,
I can, it's hard to foresee a run of the show where we don't do like a quick episode about Burnout, be it 3 or Paradise,
Yeah, I would love to.
Racing games are good.
I wanted to do a racing game for a while. I've just kind of been in the mood. So. And we definitely have some genres that we have not hit a lot that we are planning to do in next year. Maybe we'll add that at some point. Yeah. So if you have anything to say about this, hit us up at Duckfeed.tv/contact.
The deadline for responses for November's games is November the 15th. If you have responses about multiple games, please separate those into different responses. Like just big omni responses end up being difficult for us to file, honestly. But November's games, so if you have things to say about Last Express, The Simpsons Hit and Run, or a premium game, which we're doing next episode, which is going to be Deus Ex Human Revolution, that is there. If you have thoughts about December's games, the deadline for that is December the 15th.
Yep. And that's Tyranny and Jade Empire.
Yes.
If you would like to, sponsor a game or just support your boys, get episodes early, get bonus episodes of things, all kinds of stuff. Join us in the Slack. You can do so by going to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv. The other thing you can do for us, if money is tight or what have you, is ratings, reviews on Apple Podcasts are very helpful, as well as talking about, mentioning the show on blogs and all that jazz. We appreciate that.
Yes.
And that is probably about it.
Think so.
Yeah. So until next time, what should they watch out for, Cole?
Watch out for Bart's eggs.
Watch out for Bart's eggs.